All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Weare Board of Selectmen. It brings us to about, 7:06. We started at 6:30 with the police chief for a quick non-public, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment.
Hi, Kyle Parker, Old Francistown Road. The other meeting towards the end, last week's meeting towards the end, it was mentioned that re-roofing a house now requires a permit. When I was in town, in the building department, that wasn't required because it was considered a maintenance item. I went back through the agendas and what minutes are posted. I couldn't find it anywhere where a permit is required, and I'm just curious why the rec department had to come in for fee changes and the transfer station had to come in for...
Parks and Recs.
Parks and Recs, yes, Parks and
Okay,
Recs.
I just didn't hear.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and the transfer station came in and talked about fee changes, but, and maybe it just was a miscommunication that there isn't actually a permit required for that now, but if that could be addressed.
I think I can help you with that.
Go ahead,
Rob,
Kevin.
Because there was some confusion within the board after following that comment. There have been, in the circumstance that you described, an asphalt shingle to asphalt shingle, there is no permit fee. There have been several situations where there's multiple medium spray-on installation, metal going over parts of this and that have created moisture problems. So there's some more complicated designs that have, or re-roofs that have created a situation for inspections, so there's been a flat fee applied to those. We internally have had an email go around and address that was a misquote by us.
Okay.
That affected everyone, but it's a good catch by you.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and I'd like to thank you guys for starting a process. I know last week's meeting was, you guys were very busy, but you had started the process of talking about the process of contacting the town attorney. Is the conversation that took place, is that the end of it, or?
No, it's
is there going to be more?
continued. It's continued.
Okay, because when I was in a couple of months ago with the issue I had with 706, and I know you guys ended that conversation that night, there had already been a call to the town attorney, and that bill was around $100, which should have never happened.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that the discussion about the attorney, can address when it's appropriate for the attorney to actually be contacted. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank Campana. I have this scripted, so we'll see how it goes. I see the agenda tonight. The board's going to possibly enter a contract with Comcast. I think that's on the agenda. So I have a couple of comments on that. With the current contract that we're in with them, when if ever, and I don't expect an answer, when if ever has a board of selectmen verified that the subscribers are receiving the quality of the level of quality of service? Again, this is specifically to Comcast. Has a board of selectmen ever done a survey of, satisfaction by the subscribers? Has Comcast ever done a survey of satisfaction by subscribers and reported the results to the Board of Selectmen? Has the board ever met with Channel 6 volunteers to question them on Comcast's response to any concerns? When does a board of selectmen sign a contract for a service and somehow follow-up that the service is being fulfilled. Some contracts are obvious. I think the lawn care contract, I know there's been some issues way in the past over time, but it's pretty obvious if you don't see, the grass cut. All right, Comcast is a little bit different. They're an entity unto themselves, and so the board is contracting for a service on behalf of the residents. The board should be responsive enough that the service provided is what it should be. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Frank. Anybody else? Okay.
Good evening, Richard Butt. I was in receipt of your recycling progress insert into the tax bill. I've got some questions. Hopefully you could answer them, and I also have some comments. One question is, at the bottom of the case, you use of the transfer station will require vehicle stickers. In lieu of having a vehicle sticker, is proof of residency sufficient?
Yes, always was.
Okay.
We're gonna require any vehicle that uses the transfer station have a sticker.
And if you don't have the sticker,
You have to come get one.
if you show you're a resident,
You're gonna have to come get a sticker.
does the board agree to that?
It's a policy already in place. All
Yeah.
vehicles are to be stickered.
What policy is that? I missed it.
It's part of the solid waste ordinance.
From the
Thought you were
land use.
working on that.
We are.
We are, there's an
Is it-
existing.
There's an existing one already on file.
Existing one,
And that existing one indicates you have to have a sticker in order to use the facility down there?
I believe so.
I wish you'd revise that. I, for one, don't like to have stickers on my vehicles. I might have it in my glove compartment. I might have left it at home, I might have lost it, might have bought a new vehicle. If I go down there with a load of trash, and I don't have a sticker because I just bought a new vehicle, and the clerk's office wasn't closed because it was closed because it was Saturday, they're gonna turn me away? Answer the question,
Yeah,
simple,
yeah,
yes or no?
The answer will be if your vehicle does not have a sticker, if there's been a year, your vehicle had to be registered within the year that we've been doing this, the sticker's offered to you at registration. You don't have to put it on your vehicle, you can keep it in your glove box. If you're questioned, you can show them the sticker.
Have you discussed how it's gonna be enforced with the people at the transfer station, personnel?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. Regarding the, I think that's a little bit too strict. Proof of residence should be enough to allow use of that facility if you don't have a sticker.
We're trying to build consistency, Dick, that's all.
Pardon me?
We're trying to create some consistency to make it easier
I
for
understand.
the attendant.
It's not easier, it's making it more difficult in some cases and more restrictive. And I understand you're trying to keep people from out of town using the facility. I don't know if that happens. It does. Well, I think you should be more receptive to the needs of the residents if they don't have the sticker, but they live in town, or live in town. The other thing is, on this insert, you make a statement, the more we can remove from our trash and include in our recycling as a town, the less we need to spend on disposal, and the more we can earn as revenue. This is the statement that I have a concern with, meaning your taxes will be lower. How can you make that statement? There's so many other factors that affect the taxes. The fact that we're maybe improving our recycling doesn't mean my taxes are gonna be lower, does it? I don't see how you can make that statement. You can't. It shouldn't be on here. It's a political statement, not a statement of fact. I don't care how much recycling you do, my taxes are not gonna be lower. They haven't gone down at all. And here's the one that's really concerning. You mentioned over the last 5 years, Weare has brought in $364,000 by recycling, allowing the town to offset the cost of things like new plow trucks, road repairs, and employee raises. And you list the revenue per year for the past 5 years. I don't know how you can make that statement. Could you tell me how the revenue in the transfer station has reduced the employee raises, the cost of employee raises? You can't. And how about plow trucks? how has the revenue in the transfer station offset the cost of things like plow trucks? Are you just refusing the answer, or nobody knows what the answer is? I can't believe the statement went out with that statement in there. And I'm just going to give you some examples, because I did do some research. In 2018, you show we have $84,000 in revenue. And that prior statement applies to that year, as saying that we were able to offset the cost of things like plow trucks. In 2018, there was 2 highway trucks on the warrant. There was 0 offset for both of those, because I think you may be considering the use of unrestricted or undesignated fund balance to offset a vehicle. 2018, there was no offset.
Dick, you've reached your 5 minutes.
Huh?
You've reached the 5 minutes.
Can I go a little bit longer?
No.
Yeah? Oh, great. Well, I think this is ridiculous. I think what was put out there was erroneous, misinforming people, and it's unfortunate that it got out, and no member of the board even questioned it.
Thank you, Dick. Anybody else for public comment? As DPW director or as town employee?
Just in town employee.
Okay. Public comment, because he's not a resident, are we allowing Jason to speak?
Can I ask on what topic? Last week's meeting.
I mean, he's trying to speak as an employee, so I'm okay with it.
No problem.
Ben?
Yeah, I don't care what Eddie would do.
Sherry?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
As an employee, as having family who has always worked in public service, police, fire, police chief, even had a grandfather who was a selectman. Plenty of people work in highway departments. I know and understand what working for the public is like, what criticisms we may take on. It's my opinion, some things were said last week by a board member that were completely inappropriate for the setting. If there was a problem with an employee, it should have been brought up non-public. I think you guys should be up here defending your employees to the public, not criticizing them. So, that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, we'll move on. Brings us to the Pine Grove Cemetery plot discussion.
I'm Goldie Batchelder. My mom was buried in Pine Grove Cemetery 3 years ago. It's in a family plot, but her plot itself is still totally dead. It looks like she was just buried. Now, there's grass still growing around it. What we would like to do is get permission to have a reputable landscaper come in who's willing to help us kind of get that straightened out, put in hydro seed. My brother can give you more details on what our plans are.
Yeah, the landscaper, he's a professional landscaper. He has a machine that would scrape a little bit of soil, if you will, it's like gravel actually, but make it a little bit deeper so that we can replace it with loam and hydroseed it. And we're willing to do this on our own. I have a setup where I can actually come up here with water as often as needed until the grass can, take hold and kind of maintain itself. Even if it doesn't look like a new lawn, years after we start, at least there's grass there. Right now, it looks like something that might have been dug up 3 months ago. I mean, there's just no sign of real grass there at all. And,
It's all sand on top, I'm assuming.
yeah. And we, when she was buried, I think they they threw some grass seed there. There was something that resembled crabgrass that came up. But once winter hit, it was like it would never happen. And she used to spend hours, I mean, she'd drive from Milford up here very regularly because her parents are right there beside where she is. And she'd come up here with gallon jugs of water and try to take care of it the best she could. But we don't really like the way it looks. We do have pictures of it on a phone if you want to see it, but
No, just to let the rest of the board know, there already are, people already have done exactly what they're doing without our permission.
Right.
Well, right, but when Goldie talked to me and we swapped emails, and you are,
I'm Glenn. I'm Goldie's oldest brother.
yeah, I just putting you on the list.
We're both,
Your name Bachelor as well?
I'm sorry,
What's your last name?
Daniels.
So the reason when she reached out, just like with anything, when someone inquires, I went to the work in the cemetery. It says any improvements or alterations of individual lots within the cemetery shall be under the direction of and subject to the consent and approval of the trustees.
Yep.
So that's why I
Yeah,
asked
yeah.
her to come, because she inquired.
Exactly.
You're right, others have just
Just
gone
done it.
about it, which is not right either.
Nope.
But she did it, and I just think there's rules to follow, there's
Yep.
rules to follow.
Well, absolutely. And we appreciate
Yeah.
you giving us a call. We really do. So how, again, ignorance to where the lot is. I know it's in Pine Grove. I'm familiar with which one Pine Grove is. How far off one of the roads is it?
It's the first row, what is it, Buzzell Road?
Yeah, Buzzell Hill. Yep.
Okay, Buzzell Hill Road, when you go in the third entrance on the left, if you're coming from
Yep.
here. Take a right, and the first red stone you come to, it's right.
So it's like right there on the,
Right,
right
yeah.
there on the road.
It's right next to the road, the road in the cemetery on the other side of the wall.
Right.
One side of the stone says Hall, the other side says Jessamine. But
Okay.
it's, like, when I go in, I just pull in kind of straight, and it's right there.
Okay. The only reason I ask is how invasive the equipment has to be to, obviously to get to the plot.
Yeah, this is all, I mean, easily portable stuff. I mean, it's, he said it was a ditch witch.
Yep.
And it
Oh, yeah.
just, it has some kind of a
Yeah.
thing that'll pick up the dirt, and it has a little body on it, I guess, to carry the old stuff away.
Yep. Familiar.
And he would, I don't know, he told me he looked at it, well, last year, actually.
Last year, yeah, to look at
And-
with the drought, we decided to wait.
To wait until.
He kind
better
of
conditions.
thought that it might take 1 or 2 yards of loam to take care of the area that we're talking about.
How, is it the entire plot? Not just your mother's, but the whole,
No,
Her parents as well?
It's pretty much where she is.
just where she is? Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to blend
And-
it a little bit.
Yeah, we would try to,
Try to blend it a little bit.
blend in. We're not gonna go down through all the, where all the markers are and everything. We
The
just
only-
wanna,
yeah, the concern that we would have, or should have anyway, is that the plots that are owned beside you, okay, to either side of your mom's plot, that's someone else's property effectively. So we can't give you permission to upgrade their plots. In other words, at least I don't feel comfortable with that.
It's a family plot, so anybody buried on
Oh,
either
as
side
long
of
as you
her is
stay, as
all
long as you
family.
stay within the family plot, then
Yes.
Yeah.
that's fine.
And like you said, you're kinda gonna blend it off.
she and her parents are
Okay.
both there.
And her aunts and uncles, they're all there.
And
Yeah, but there's 4 cornerstones anyway.
No,
Yes, yeah, but we need to, that's the other thing we need to.
there isn't any
Oh,
corner.
there isn't any cornerstones?
No, not,
No.
that was another thing.
we needed to talk about.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, because I got a phone call from Medlin Monument in Milford asking how big the lot was and where the corner markers go. And you're on the list, but you're not on, I couldn't tell you where the lot was because the lot is blank. So I don't know how big of a lot you have. I don't even know where the lot was. I do now, but I don't know for how many, people that it was purchased for.
yeah, the deed, et cetera.
Because it's older, so I don't
Yeah.
have that
I did
information.
get a copy of the deed, it was in the safe deposit box by the time I got it work. couldn't get in there.
Couldn't get in there, all right.
Because if you could share that with me, I don't mind working with Medlin Monument, because we would have to basically just say where it is, but.
Yeah.
We're willing
she
to
had
do
asked-
anything that
Yep.
needs to be
Yeah.
done to
We
make it
didn't
the way it's
know-
supposed to be.
Yeah, we didn't even know anything about the cornerstones until Connie was there the day, the morning that my mom was buried, and she saw me and she said, "You don't have any cornerstones?" I said, "This thing was bought back in the 60s,
I was gonna say,
70s."
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
I
was in the
guess it's like all
60s.
new to
Yeah.
us, so we do want to get cornerstones in there, so I had called Midlands.
Okay.
So where do you reside? Do you reside in town?
I'm sorry?
Milford,
Oh, Milford.
Milford,
yes.
Just so you don't have to make a special trip up with the deed. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out.
But we've been emailing.
Okay,
The town wouldn't have a copy of that deed because her deed, when we found it, when she died, you opened it up and it's literally crumbling.
yeah,
So, I know that, was it Smith and Heald? I took it to them and they were able to kind of make a copy of it, but,
Yeah, take a picture of it.
they said that the town needed a copy of that, so you wouldn't already have a copy of that, or?
No, but you're emailing, right?
Not that we found.
You're emailing.
not that
us-
we found, yeah, that's,
You're
that's, yeah.
emailing us back and forth.
Yeah.
So you can take a photograph of it, and do you know how to do that? And you attach it to the email
Yeah.
and send it up to her?
Yeah.
That'd be great, or
Yeah.
share it on the cell phone.
And then
I
that would
think-
just help us with
You know,
the borders,
If you
obviously.
want, I can give you my cell phone, you could send me the pictures, so I like to keep the file, because there's nothing.
Yeah.
Then we can
Um,
start a file.
And then we
Just
could
figure
have
out
a
where to
file
put it.
for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I forgot my phone out in the car, but I have pictures of
That's
this
all right.
done and everything.
okay. So back to the initial point of discussion as far as upgrading the loam on the lot, where's the board with that?
Yep.
Maybe
Yep.
problem.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
I
it
don't
either.
have a problem.
The only one thing that I would request is, the town does have a policy on liability insurance, so that if something were to happen with,
Stone get bumped.
with the ditch witch, stone get bumped, something like that, that there's coverage for whoever you're having perform the work.
Okay,
So that just, so we retain that before anything before anything starts on it.
okay.
Right to the end. I mean, if it's two different companies, they're gonna do the hydro seeding and the loam, I don't know. But yeah, we would just require those on file for the town.
And we probably, would put, hay or something
Yeah.
down on top of it.
Some straw. Yeah.
And I do have a portable tank, with a pump. So we can actually go up there and put a sprinkler or
Water it.
water it down as often as we need to. We'll just come up here and do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the contractors are the ones that need to send us their liability.
Their liability
Right.
And
insurance,
they
right?
can do that via email too.
Yeah, just send over a copy of it, that's all.
I can get that.
Yeah, the vendors, they'll have that. But
Yeah.
what you do personally as far as watering,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you guys are on the right idea as far as blending it side to side,
Right.
and doing it
We
right
just,
that
we
way.
just don't want the big rectangular dirt spot, That's
Understandable.
all we're trying to do.
No, understood, so,
Thank you so much.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
No,
You guys?
no,
All right. Thank you,
you.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
And that's just a question, and then that's what you like.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. And you guys don't have to stay at the meeting if you don't want. We won't blame you for leaving,
Thank you.
so, thank you. All right, recognize Brian Christensen from Comcast.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Brian Christensen. I am the Director of Government Affairs for Comcast. I'm here, I've been in contact with Ms. Bolton regarding our franchise renewal with the community. And I can talk about what a franchise renewal is a little bit and why we're here. Franchise renewal is essentially a license from the Board of Selectmen to grant us a non-competitive franchise agreement to use the rights of way in the community. There are obviously guardrails on what a franchise agreement can and cannot be done, and I can go into those if the board wants, or we can follow up with questions afterwards. As part of a franchise agreement, the board's allowed to ask under federal law for certain things, a franchise fee, capital funding, a PEG channel, density requirements, and so forth. By and large, franchise agreements have kind of become boilerplate In fact, this is your last franchise agreement. I changed the dates to protect the innocent, as they say. I lowered the density requirement in the town's favor. But other than that, it is the exact same franchise agreement. There are a couple other small changes to federal law. The last agreement was 7 years. I think it expired about 9 months ago, if I'm right. And as I said, it's a license to use the rights of way. We partner with the utility pole owners, the phone company and the electric company to rent space on those telephone poles to provide our competitive products and services to the community. It's kind of what a franchise agreement is in a nutshell.
Okay.
I can obviously talk
Yeah,
for an hour,
a
but
lot
I
in
know you
depth,
guys
yeah.
have a busy meeting.
Yeah, I know that Salem had some questions, so.
Yeah, well, I guess popping to the top of the list then, you just said it was non-competitive, but what we're looking at signing is saying
No,
it's
I-
non-exclusive.
If I said a non,
He said
a
non-competitive.
non-exclusive,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
It's a
making sure.
it's a competitive
Sure.
franchise
Okay,
agreement,
great.
like
Okay.
Granite State Telephone offers internet, DirecTV, Dish Network offers television, Starlink offers internet, ADT offers home security, so all our products and services are competitive. Franchise agreement itself is non-exclusive. To offer a television product over a managed video service, you need this license as prescribed in the Telecommunications Act.
Sure. And I guess so I went through most of those last week, and
God bless you.
I wish, well, I mean, I read the whole thing last week, but then I went through most of these comments in our meeting last week. And Frank's still here, great. So I did want to call out that because, and I maybe ask, this is as a clarifying question, I don't see this as a service that we are contracting on behalf of our citizens because it is a non-exclusive franchise agreement.
Yeah.
Somebody could come in if you do a very poor job and we could sign an agreement with them to do a better job.
You're 100% right, sir. You are, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been doing it for 20 years, so I got a lot of working knowledge. You're giving me a license, the company, a license to use the rights of way, which you guys obviously own. Our individual relationship is with the customers, with the gentleman behind me, and I can obviously talk to him if he's got any individual service complaints. And I think over the years, Ms. Bolton has sent me a couple individual service complaints that have come to our attention. But I got to say, they're not frequent. Is that an accurate statement?
I just give him your direct number and I
There,
just.
there you go.
I mean,
Easier.
I can't, I don't get in the middle
Handoff.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
I do have a question though. So we get it all the time, sorry, Sam. We get it all the time about, how come we won't let you come in for telephone?
yeah. So.
Why is that?
Granite State Telephone is what's called an independent local exchange carrier. So they are protected under federal law from competition. So in order for us to offer telephone service, we would actually have to prove that our competitive product wouldn't harm their business. So there's a procedure under it. We've
Yeah,
approached
there
them informally.
Okay.
They have not, they have not expressed interest in coming to what's called an interconnect agreement, where we can exchange telephone traffic. So, for lack of better words, we don't want to litigate it, and you could litigate it, but
Because I
We've just made
was
the decision
told
not
from
to.
them that you could go to the PUC and apply for a telephone license. You guys have a cable license, not a telephone license.
correct. It's that we could offer telephone service, but we couldn't interconnect those phone calls. Like, you can't do the handshake between a Comcast phone number and a Granite State telephone number. So we could get native telephone numbers from the PUC, and if you were calling, for discussion's sake, if your first three was 444, and from a Comcast, and Granite State was, I don't know, what's the exchange?
529.
529 here in Weare, they don't have to connect that phone call if you don't have a connection agreement. So, as I said, we haven't approached them in a few years, but in the past, they have not expressed a willingness to do
Yeah,
an
because I
interconnect
approached them
agreement.
because I'm constantly getting you know, Granite State's got us locked up, they're holding the town hostage, and I've heard all the comments, so I called one day.
Yeah,
And that's when they said that, you know, you guys have the license for cable and not for telephone.
yeah.
So that's, okay,
It's,
just like they don't have cable, right?
they could have cable if they came in.
Well, they have
and-
streaming,
Yep, if they,
yeah.
They offer
came
internet.
in and offered, if they came in and offered a managed video service over a wire, they'd have to get a license under federal law, which would, again, under federal law, you can't grant, in New Hampshire state law, you can't grant a franchise agreement more favorable or less burdensome.
Right.
So
So
they'd have
in
to
their-
offer,
In their case, it'd be far easier and less expensive for them to go into business than it is for you, what you're currently providing us. So there is language in here that makes it arguable if we allowed someone else to come in, for, I think it's stated with less restrictions than we implied on you, which is a lawyer can interpret that in all kinds of ways, right? But that's not my question. My question first is, and it kind of, early in the document, it reads that we're agreeing that you complied with the previous franchise.
yep,
Well, personally, I wasn't on the board. I haven't seen the previous franchise. You tell me it's a boilerplate
Yeah.
with a few changes, but I can't sit here and tell you that you did comply with it, to be 100% honest with you. So that I need to mull over in my head, because that's not how the document reads. And then second, why 7 years?
I'll be frank, I just duplicated the last one, and I don't know if it was the administrator before Ms. Bolton, or we definitely did 7 years last time. We typically do 10, but, I didn't want to complicate the process. I can opine on whether or not we're in compliance or not if you want me to, but you probably won't like my answer. It's really up to the board to determine whether or not we're in compliance or not.
Yeah.
That is the document that we signed 7, 8 years ago with the
It's
board.
just- If you read it literally, okay, which I did, I read the entire document literally, it was written by a lawyer. But it states that I'm saying that you did comply, and I
Yeah.
honestly don't know if you did or you didn't. So that, here and there, at this point, there's language in here about the 150 feet. And that's the limitation until you start charging, correct?
Yeah, so the federal definition is 125 feet. We put in here 150 feet kind of as a safety stop. Our infrastructure regularly goes to 300 feet, so any driveway that's less than 300 feet, we will hook up free of charge, because that is the capability of the wire. Anything beyond 300 feet, you gotta start doing line extensions and start, like the guys in the vans can't do it. You'd have to get some construction out and do it.
Okay. But you do up to 300 feet,
That's standard operating procedure.
okay, but the document doesn't say that.
The document says 150. It's a step up from the federal definition, federal,
125.
Yeah.
I heard you.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right. Those are my other questions.
Salem's got more.
I do. And I guess I wrote one down, just to back up a little bit. Maybe this is just a personal curiosity. Could you compete with an ILAC if you, or does Comcast offer SIP as a phone service?
We offer VoIP service. It
Yeah.
is a VoIP service. But it's all about that handoff between the telephone numbers, that interconnection agreement. So
Yeah, they still don't have to.
you could, and I'm not gonna tell you there's not a person in Weare that doesn't, I may be speaking, there's probably 1 or 2 people in Weare that have Comcast telephone service, but they probably cannot call town hall on that telephone.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Yeah, so just skimming through it, I think we talked about it last week, wanted to make sure that we provided enough affording the public adequate notice, an opportunity for comment. We did that by mentioning it last week, putting it in the minutes. It is not exclusive, we've confirmed that. And we just talked about the 150 feet. Excuse me while I flip through
Oh,
every page.
no worries.
And maybe I would just do this offline, but it says we can get a complete set of strain maps, and I'd be curious to see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I could bring them down and
Okay.
share them with Ms. Bolton. For practical sake, we don't believe there's anybody in town, we do not have infrastructure in front of their driveway. About 2 or 3 licenses ago, somebody built the entire town, which is a good problem to have because some of your neighbors don't have that.
So then why modify the density?
The what?
Why modify the density requirement?
Frankly, it was 30/60? I don't,
You had 30/60 and you
That-
dropped it to 25/40. I'm interested to know how that benefits us.
Well,
I-
we'd need fewer
you
people
need
before they
fewer
go out to
people per
replace.
mile
Yeah.
for like a new development. If somebody subdivides and puts 5 houses in, it's measured from the existing infrastructure. I'm sorry, sir, what was your question again?
We're talking about this, yeah, so if the town's already covered,
Why are we
Yeah,
dropping
and-
density?
It's sort of goes along the line of Selectmen Cahill. It's a safety stop, like, so if somebody cuts a road into the middle of the woods and you guys accept it as a public street and there's a mile before the houses start being built, that's why. It's anywhere between $60,000 to $100,000 a mile to build cable infrastructure, so.
okay, and then that was internal thing. I did want to mention, again, since it's in this agreement, if anybody uses Comcast, and correct me if I'm wrong, this would be for TV or internet, yeah, in the event the service is completely interrupted for 24 or more consecutive hours, then the subscriber, basically, you call Comcast and they'll give you a prorated rebate. So,
Yeah,
just wanted to call it out while speaking publicly.
that is under state law, like a catastrophic event, we're really proactive in that. With the advent of home generators and generators on our infrastructure and batteries on our infrastructure, isolated events, we do ask people to call in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have Comcast. When our power's out, we still have internet, and that may just be my street, just letting everybody know.
You're
Get
lucky.
the generator running and,
And if I can put a commercial in here, I actually have a trial right now. It's called Storm Ready Wi-Fi, which is basically a bolt onto your modem that connects to a cellular network. So it's seamless
As long as you get power.
there's battery backup to it.
Oh, perfect.
So it's a seamless operation to your home computers, your window sensors, whatever, so it's coming.
people in this room will tell you I'm a little too paranoid for that. You can come to my router, and then
I was gonna say,
it's my
yeah.
router, it's my modem. I think that was it as far as talking with you about things. I mean, so, I guess, are you maybe authorized to make modifications to this?
I am, yeah.
So like if we wanted to codify 300 feet,
I typically don't like to negotiate in a public
That's
meeting,
fair.
but I can do 300 feet.
and I guess maybe I know you said you want to read it. Naomi and I both did a diff of it before last week's meeting, and so if you read this one, then the density change and the dates were the only changes.
Right.
I have read this one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You said you read this one, and
The one
and
before it, he
we
said.
can, the two of us can confirm that those are the changes.
The only changes from the last contract.
That's right. So the change that you asked for, is that on page 10, section B? Is
It
that
would
what-
be like, probably section 3.1, area to be served, and
Yeah.
it's in there a few times, so,
And so you're asking to have us change
150 feet.
a couple things, 150 to 3, and then we've asked you that, and then you're asking us to go from 30/60 to 25/40.
I'll leave it at 30/60, but I think 25/40 is in your interest, and, I don't know if I fully answered that question. I don't have any at 30/60 anymore.
We could be unique though, because we are.
I don't think you want to be unique in that direction.
Just saying.
I think
Don't-
the lower density makes a lot
Yeah,
more
you don't want to negotiate against yourself.
Right.
And you're saying that you made that change because you've made it for other communities and not?
Yeah, that's kind of the standard language now. Probably 7 or maybe 15 years ago, 30, 60 was kind of the norm.
7 years ago was the norm.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it was probably carried over from the one
Before that.
before that. So, I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna be Captain Obvious here. It's in our best interest to serve as many people as possible. So, we try to get to everybody. There's all sorts of broadband money in the state right now. I don't think that's a problem in the state, in this town. But we want to get to everybody that we possibly can.
Would it be fair to ask a few questions from Frank's comments?
Well, and so what I wrote down from what Frank said was, has the board ever verified the level of service? When has the board surveyed subscribers about satisfaction? And then he described it as a service that we're contracting into on behalf of citizens. And so that's why I opened before. I would not classify it as that because this is a non-exclusive agreement. I wouldn't mind asking Mr. Campaign if he more comfortable.
There's one question he asked that we do survey our customers all the time. You interact with us, you're gonna get a text message or a phone call afterwards to find out how it was. I'll pay my bill and I get a text message that says, how was your service? And of course, I rate it 10, but we survey our customers all the time. I'm not gonna say, and you guys are familiar with providing services, we strive to get it right 100% of the time, but sometimes you may leave a snowbank at the end of the road, or there may be an issue, but, you know, as I said, I've been at this for 20 years. We're a different company than we were then. It's a competitive marketplace. I've said that a few times tonight. We need to get it right, so. I can step aside if you want to
Any
hear
other
from.
questions? You have any other questions?
No. I mean, I guess
Okay.
I
And
wouldn't,
to answer the questions to point, I don't remember ever doing surveys in the last 8 years.
No.
I don't think we ever have.
No, because Frank's first question was, when has the board ever verified that subscribers are receiving the level of service?
I don't remember ever doing it.
No, I don't think we did.
Okay. And also,
And we haven't had any surveys that we could provide statistics,
No.
because we didn't.
correct.
And then Comcast, he answered that they do. And then the fourth question, if I can hand scratch, has the BOS met with cable, the couple committee members that we still have left? I don't think we've ever met with them, but I did give Doug, because there's really only two of them.
Yeah.
Doug and Steve. And Doug took it home and studied it, which is what I,
Had hope.
and he was fine with it, because he's the one that has the most intimate knowledge with it. And he didn't have an issue. I thought he might come tonight, but, and 5 is blank, because I couldn't write fast enough. So
Okay.
I don't know what the fifth question was.
All right.
I'm sure Frank has it written down.
Obviously, there's been a lot of chat about Mr. Campana. Does the board want to afford him a couple minutes
Well, I
to?
think part of last week's discussion was to put it on there as a discussion, because
Right.
we have to get input from people.
Right.
So that's why I put it as a discussion.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I think if Frank,
Yeah.
I mean, he did it during public
Yeah,
comment.
absolutely.
Yes.
No, we know, we moved into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the one kind of requirement you do have under New Hampshire state law is, you do have to have a public hearing. So whenever the board is ready to execute it, you
Right.
have your 30-second, 5-minute public hearing, however long people speak, but, and then you
I
can-
just figure while you're here, if there's something that specifically comes up, that'd be great.
Yeah,
But obviously,
Yeah.
we'll have the hearing.
yeah.
So,
So that is required under,
Okay. That's why you dated it far away then.
yeah, that's
Dated
exactly
July.
why.
17th,
Yeah.
that's not
Good
far
time.
away.
at the time it was. That was a month and a half when we got it.
It's a
Yeah.
month away.
Okay,
Yeah. So,
We can have the hearing July 3rd.
I know, and it's, the way time's flying, July 17th doesn't seem far.
it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frank, would you like to speak to it? Any of your questions answered?
Well, thank you. I'm taken aback by this. The legal aspect, I don't get, time for me to comprehend. But I'll give you my personal example that happened that really pushed me over the edge. I should have brought my paper with me. It was sometime late winter. It may have been weather-related, I'm not sure. But, of course, when we lose electricity, we lose cable. And I understand that, okay, to be sure. Well, we didn't lose electricity. I lost the cable. It was a Friday afternoon. So I called Comcast number. I speak to somebody overseas, which I can barely understand, not critical of,
Right,
another
just-
person's, language.
Yep.
Very difficult for me to get,
Difficult barrier, yep.
to convey. And it was set up that a technician was not going to be able to come to the house till Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
So from sometime Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon, and that worked out. They said 2 o'clock, and he was just about right on time.
Okay.
Okay, I thought that very unacceptable. I mean, I depend on the television, for various things. I have basic service, so, whatever sports happen to be on, happens to be on, and the other programs. So I'm not crazy, don't go overboard with the TV. In fact, actually, when the government told me that I couldn't use antennas anymore, we went with Comcast. My wife got rid of the internet portion, went with Granite State. I kept Comcast, and I haven't given up on an antenna even to this late date. But, so pretty simple, but I thought that was very unacceptable. I did get transferred, that incident, I did get transferred to someone in Pennsylvania, a fella, who I could understand, and they did, whatever they could do behind the scenes to reboot something, and all that, and it didn't work. Okay, well, just to further that incident, the same line that's on my street, well, I called a fella down the street that I know, he's on a different line at the intersection. You're familiar with it. He had cable, okay? And I called 2 people. One was a couple of houses from you, and one was across the street from you. The one across the street from you, he wasn't sure if he had it because he was not using it at the time. And the other fella, he had the service. So I turned it, okay, it was isolated to me. I don't know why. And it frustrates me to no end when, and it's happened a couple of times that I've had to call, and the first thing they do is, well, check your connections, okay? Check the connections. Well, my house doesn't move, my television doesn't move, the things are screwed in, all right, and it frustrates me to no end. So I do what they tell me, shut it off, then let it go 5 minutes, and still nothing. So, what do I do? And that's when I say, am I getting the service that I deserve?
Right.
Again, if it's weather-related, what can you do? All right, but it was not. It was, and the technician, he did update, I mean, I had the small box and the remote ever since, we had to make that change. He said, well, you got some old stuff here. Well, it was working. But he insisted on changing a couple of things, and it was fine. So that's when I say, am I getting the level of service?
Understandable.
That I should get. Now, I did hear something tonight about Salem raised it. I think this fellow mentioned it. If you're without service for a length of time.
24 hours.
Pardon me?
24 hours?
20?
Yep.
Okay,
And
so-
they will prorate you.
Okay,
Yeah, you have your bill prorated.
okay.
I have a question for you, Frank. When you say the government said you can't use an antenna anymore,
Well,
Well, the
they,
analog antenna,
yeah, the analog,
you had to go digital.
yeah. And unfortunately, I'm not sophisticated enough,
I've
you
had
know,
an
to,
antenna, I've always had an antenna. And I have a high def antenna now and I get 57 channels.
Well, maybe I'd like to know how you do it.
It's very easy. It's an antenna with a piece of cable that comes down, screws in the back of your smart TV. You
Okay,
scan
well,
channels.
maybe I'll call you.
It's $125
But-
to run.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know there are ways to, I mean, if I could cut the cable, this fellow wouldn't like to hear it, I would like to do that, but I don't want another expense, you know, I mean, I liked free TV when I had it, and I would like it again. And I heard the town administrator a few meetings ago, an unrelated subject, whatever the subject was, that she doesn't have any of that, she does, you know, everything, the computer and all that. And my wife watches, you know, her programs on the, on the computer. But me, I'm not like that. So that's the issue that pushed me over the edge.
Mother Nature
Oh.
cut my line. I was nice enough to wait until the snow was gone. I called and I still have nobody come out yet, so take notes.
Okay,
Been more than
okay.
24
So I don't know if that's.
Well longer
helpful
than 24
or
hours.
not to anybody, but I'll keep in mind the 24-hour thing if that happens again, I guess.
You can also reuse your existing antenna with a converter box.
Yeah. I tried that initially, I didn't have any luck with that either. I mean, I'm really backwards, fortunately, I have to admit it. Okay, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Yep.
And to this fellow here also.
Thanks, Frank.
you very much.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for feedback.
I'm not sure I have anything to add to what the gentleman behind me
I do have a
said.
question.
Yes.
Who do I call about my cable that's on the ground?
Did you bring
What number?
business cards?
I actually didn't, we weren't in the office today.
It's not your roundhouse, I understand that. I just want to know if there's a number that I should call. I'm not a subscriber.
I can
I think
grab
that's
your
the
inf-
problem,
I can
but,
grab your information from Ms. Bolton and I'll
Thank you.
have somebody call you.
thank you. Yeah,
But 1-800-COMCAST is kind of the general
okay.
number, and you do have to go through a phone tree, but
Yeah,
I can get your information from Ms.
Okay,
Bolton. and
I
have somebody
appreciate
call
that.
you tomorrow.
appreciate that.
Are you leveraging your position?
I am not at all. It's just, it's been on the ground for a long time. Either I want it hooked back up or I want it gone, one of the two.
As a member of the public.
That's right.
One year free service.
If it comes with it,
Everything.
if it comes with it.
Okay,
All right, anything else for Brian?
no.
I guess I kind of got a, I don't want to open a can of worms, but over the last year, I guess we've kind of been licensing for free. So,
Oh, when the contract ended and we didn't,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, so we've still been providing the franchise fee, we've still been providing the PEG channel.
Yeah,
There are companies that don't care about expired licenses and just go forever. We're not one of them. We like to have our licenses in place.
At least,
Just so
yeah.
there's no ambiguity with, you guys mentioned liability insurance, there's a performance bond, there's insurance in place, just so there's no ambiguity. We like to have our licenses up to date. We've never tested it, but
don't want to either.
yeah.
And if you're not the right person to ask, that's fine. And I'm not looking to change this, but we've been talking about how can we run multiple streams like this concurrently? Because we're streaming this meeting out right now on Channel 6.
Yep.
We'll probably have a second channel that will be available, but if not, how much trouble is it to add like a third PEG channel?
It's not a lot of trouble. There's a cost associated with it, both for you guys and us. You know, it can be done. You're gonna have to program it and, whether your video server's capable of it and so forth, that's all questions
We
that.
currently have two, right? We have channel
6 to
6 and
17.
channel
Yeah, I think there's
Yeah,
one
6 to
school
17.
and one here, right?
Yeah.
So the one at the school, we'd have to bring the drop over here?
I don't know how the infrastructure goes. I actually think your drop goes to the school and then the school out.
Ships it
That
out.
sounds right. That sounds more
So we
familiar.
would technically, if this school doesn't ever pick up 17 again, we would have to, right?
Yeah, and just, our relationship is actually with you guys,
Correct.
not with the school.
Correct.
Right, okay.
So,
So if after the public hearing, we sign this agreement with you, is it right that you cut us a check for $30,000?
if that is that's in section 7, I believe. I don't have it memorized, but yeah, I believe so. I think it's 90 or 120 days or something like that. Maybe section 6,
I think I saw 30,000.
6.3, 120 days, yes. Page 25.
Yeah, so that money would go into, which would get, that fund a little bigger, I think, to do what we need to do a second streaming, because we do have a conference room upstairs. Acoustics aren't that great,
That'd
but
be
we
great,
could do
get
something.
that open up and running, yeah,
Yeah.
That we could buy equipment with,
equipment and,
along with what's in there now.
right,
Okay.
yeah. That'd be great, I'd like to see that.
And I think we can also have a further conversation with Doug or the school, because I don't know that they'll go back to 17, and, but since they've been streaming there, they haven't used 17 at all.
Right.
So if that's the case, we could use it.
Yep.
Just like our second channel.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, we would leave kind of the electronics there because it takes up, a filing cabinet.
Right.
Yeah.
If
Kind
they've
of
already got
passive
it. Yeah.
electronics, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very capable of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this 30 grand we're gonna get if the purchase of PEG access equipment happens to give us what we're talking about upstairs and improve, for instance, the Wi-Fi in this building.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We're gonna likely need a router upstairs
Yeah, and I don't see why we couldn't
or a switch.
utilize that if everything's all commingling together. Obviously, we're hardwired there. If we could, like you say, get that on,
Yeah, I'm
Wi-Fi.
hooked up over there.
but you're still hardwired,
Yeah.
right? So maybe you wouldn't have to be hardwired, we could actually use Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, I think you'd have to just include the cable, because.
Oh, 100%, yeah, I'm not saying we don't, but like, to your point, right?
What is the problem with the Wi-Fi?
It's just not very strong. The signal strength is not strong,
Yeah, it says weak when you get on it.
yeah.
Where's your modem
Yeah, so-
or your
Well,
router?
access point. I know there's one upstairs.
Yeah.
I think there's another one.
Is that a Walmart one?
There's only one
There's Walmart
upstairs in
upstairs.
the room.
You may want to look at some type of mesh network for your Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
because I suspect your weak signal is because
It's too far.
Distance,
Just distance alone.
100%, and
okay.
walls, whether they're thick, horsehair, Wi-Fi signals don't go through horsehair. I don't think you have horsehair here, but,
This
I
was
might
built in
agree.
the 20s.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's a-
Chicken wire and plaster, I know that. 'cause I've
Yeah,
got
well,
old
chicken
ones.
wire wouldn't be helpful.
It's in the middle.
that acts as a geofence, yeah,
Yeah,
Faraday cage.
yeah.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can take it from there, but I just wanna make sure it was an additional
Yep, it is.
one once we sign it.
Yep.
All right, very good.
So I think the next step is
It's
to have a
whole
public hearing.
Yep, I would agree.
And are you gonna make the change prior to the public hearing?
I can get it to you tomorrow.
Perfect.
Okay,
That sounds easy enough.
and then we'll schedule, do you want the 3rd?
I think the 3rd would be the appropriate
July
time. I think that'd be the appropriate time.
I guess, would you anticipate coming back for that?
I can't be here on the 3rd.
It's, yeah.
Well, then you have to use a work session or something.
Wait, I guess we could. It's up to the board.
Yeah.
Use work session.
Does he need to be here?
I think it'd be a good idea.
I think it'd be a good idea myself,
I
personally.
live outside of Concord, it's not a big deal, so,
He just can't do the 3rd, he's probably on vacation
Right.
like
Yes.
90% of the
I don't blame you.
yes, thank you.
Congratulations, yeah.
Well, it's 4th of July week, so.
No, 100%.
I expect a lot of people.
So-
And that might not be good on our part either.
Well, but what's the work session after
Still
that?
cancel it. It's never too
So
late.
do it the
It's
10th.
10th.
Does that work for us? The 10th?
Yeah.
This works for me. Work for you?
So we'll
Don't see why not, yeah.
Okay. Well, let us know as soon as you don't
No,
know.
July 10th should work.
all right, because I'll have to post it like soon.
July 10th will work.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll put you right front and center. You want the.
I may have a shadow that day, I have a new employee starting.
There's no hurry.
No. Not right around the corner. So,
1 week from signing.
all right, thank you, sir, appreciate
Thank you,
it.
folks, have a good evening.
You as well.
Good night.
All right, that brings us to department head committee items. Recognize Chief Moore.
What do you first, before we?
Do the thing from non.
Yep.
So we had Officer Perslow resign last week, who was our prosecutor. As such, the duties of prosecutor had to be assigned to other personnel. With the board's permission, Sergeant Montplaisir will step into the prosecutor duties. With that becomes a stipend of $500 a month. Additionally, Administrative Assistant Dolphinus will perform paralegal and discovery duties. Those were previously performed by Officer Perslow, but due to Sergeant Montplaisir being a supervisor, he has additional duties, and for him to perform those duties, it would cost the town a substantial amount of overtime. So to save the town money, Administrative Assistant Dolphinus will perform those duties, and I recommend a stipend for her of $150 a month with the board's approval.
Okay, so that's two stipends. And Perslow was getting this,
$500 a month, same as Sergeant
okay,
Montplaisir.
just a transfer of duties.
Correct.
Transfer.
The new stipend is for Dolphinus. Nobody was getting that because Officer Perslow could do both duties since she wasn't a supervisor.
So where does the extra come from?
So we have an overage from where Officer Perslow was a step 9 officer. And we hired a step 3 officer in her place. I have what that actually saved, but it's a pretty substantial savings. It amounts to 86 cents an hour for Administrative Assistant Dolphinus. And these are a lot of notes, but I'll be able to find it here in a second. Looks like the savings from Officer Perslow leaving would be $3.82 an hour. So we still have almost $3 an hour savings from Officer Perslow leaving.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding fully. So Officer Perslow was getting 500 to do the 3 jobs.
2.
She was
Prosecutor,
doing,
but as part of her prosecutor duty,
Discovery.
she was also doing discovery.
Okay.
For Sergeant Montplaisir to do all of that, he'd have to go into overtime. So to save overtime money, where we
Right.
take the discovery options from Sergeant Montplaisir and give them to Administrative Assistant Dolphinus, we give her a stipend because that's outside her current job responsibilities. We're adding to it.
no, understand. So shouldn't we, instead of putting it as a 650, shouldn't we be doing it as a splitting up that 500?
He's still doing, so. what's
You know what I
increasing-
mean, though, right?
Yeah, so I would agree with that normally possibly, but what's changing, felonies first are going away and pretrial conferences are going away. He is going to be in court a lot. And again, this is a position we were paying $78,000.
Oh, no, I understand. I remember.
for.
I remember.
So we're still way below what we were
Okay.
doing, but
I-
we're getting the job done.
Just ask them the question.
What's making those two things go away?
Defense attorneys.
Okay. You're just saying they're just happening less frequently?
No, so they have, and this is just my understanding, because obviously I'm not in those conversations, I've just been briefed by other chiefs. So this is already enacted in southern Hillsborough County, down in Nashua and other parts of the state. Currently, our court system hasn't adopted it all of the way, but it's coming. And when it does, we usually send our prosecutor only for cases. Every officer involved in that case is now going to have to go. It's going to be a substantial impact on the safety of all the communities. It's a very bad move by the courts. The Chiefs Association is attempting to work with the legislature to divert that. It's an ongoing process that was initiated by defense attorneys.
So Chris, just a question, so the $500 a month, is that taken to his court time? Is that for him to go to court for that?
So not all of it. If he goes like on his day off, he still gets court time.
But the $500 that we're gonna give him extra is, I'm just trying to make sure it's wrapped around, my head around it as well, because I get asked questions, but the $500, some of the stuff may be done while he's here anyway?
Yeah, but he doesn't have to do it. So there's a substantial amount of
Yeah,
work
no, I'm just
that he
saying,
can
and you
just do
said
as
now that
supervisor
he's gonna
duties.
spend a lot more time in court. Does the $500 a month cover him going to court, or are we gonna be then overtime as well?
Overtime as well if he's going not in his regular scheduled shifts. And this is part of the processes where I was trying to get, through the CBA, different modified schedules and adjusted schedules so we could reduce court time. It all ties in together.
So the stipend, the
the
stipend wouldn't be
$500
added yet?
stipend is added for the additional responsibilities that he's taking on. His current pay scale, whatever that is, $28 an hour or whatever it is, okay, just a round number for conversation, don't quote me on that. But that's for his patrol duty in,
Supervision, correct,
right?
yeah.
But while he's being paid that, in his time, free time, whatever, he's doing this additional work with additional responsibilities and additional skill set, I presume.
Correct, yeah. And
Has he had training in this?
so no, since I've been here, usually there's a prosecutor 1 and a prosecutor 2 course. The academy has not offered it in the last 4 years. We've been watching for that ever since Officer Perslow took over the duties. It just hasn't been offered, and I'll be going to that as well, because I'll be picking up his secondary. If he's on vacation or something, I'm gonna get trained up so I can take over if need be.
But he doesn't have any official training as of yet.
No, he has the competency for it, is what he has. It's a very specific skill set that's needed for that position. And we don't have anybody else currently who could do it. At the level he's at. You know, if they were trained up, they could do it eventually, but we don't have that time frame. You know, obviously, Officer Perslow's departure we knew it was coming eventually, we didn't know it was coming this summer. So we had to step up quickly to make sure the job responsibilities are still getting done.
Covered.
But to that point, if we kept her on part-time, she probably could have fulfilled that role.
No.
Okay.
So actually something they hit too, since she's working for a law firm now, there would probably be conflicts of interest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
which we
okay.
hadn't thought of.
All right.
Okay.
That
So
was our
It'll be a
intent.
monthly stipend, it won't be per cents an hour more on their check each
No.
week, it would be once in a month.
Correct.
Yes,
Yes, once a month.
for both of them.
Yes.
Okay.
So like whatever, I'll let Beth.
Right,
work that
whatever the number is, right. Board members have questions for the chief?
No, I mean, your staff and your budget, you know, I guess to me, if it was 500 before, it ought to be at 150 and 350 this time, but it's your staff, and if you got it in your wage line, then.
Yeah, that was the question I had, kind of, the 350, 350, 150 type thing.
Yeah, we went from a step 9 to a step 3 officer, which freed up money to be able to offer the stipend to.
No, our point is
Confidence.
that Laura was doing both jobs for 500. Now you're dividing the job, and we're adding $150.
And we're adding to it.
For someone who's less qualified. And
680.
would you say that Laura was more qualified than Officer Montplaisir?
Sergeant Montplaisir.
Sorry.
So both of them, it's a competency level. Can both of them get the job done? Yes, absolutely.
You get what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
We're just trying to be as conservative as we can to make sure that, I mean, if there's a learning curve, a training period for Sergeant Montplaisir, then are we, I mean, where do we go from here, right? We got him at 5.
Sure.
Are you gonna be back to see us once he now goes through the qualifications that we now have to bump that to 750, because now he's more skilled?
No.
Even though he started when he was less skilled at the 500 that Laura was
Yeah, that's,
carrying.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want me to, so we do have an actual position description for prosecutor I can let you look at too, that we did write up prior
Well,
to.
you're
Yeah.
definitely the most qualified to make that call, and we're gonna have to defer to you at some
Right.
level anyway. But it is our, I mean, it is our responsibility to scrutinize what,
Oh, sure.
monetary.
Easy button would have just been hiring another attorney, but, as such, I obviously don't want to put out too much because that's gone, but we definitely went in a step in the right direction that we're at, even though it means a lot more work. Things are
To keep it in-house the way we are.
accomplished much more proficiently, because obviously the prosecutor prior was a third-party vendor essentially, where we didn't get a whole lot of feedback. And,
Now there's some kind of an in-house control
yes,
factor.
yeah, we definitely can control what happens a lot better, which is in the better interest of the community.
with the additional court time, we still are gonna be staffed to handle the patrol status?
Pending, so it depends on if that felonies first and pretrial conferences actually
Take
enact. If that goes through, we're gonna need a full-time position just to handle those, or an attorney.
But we won't be the only one in that boat.
No, everybody will be in that boat. And perhaps we can we'll look at that when it
Almost like a
comes.
share mutual aid.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because like partner up with Dunbarton.
Yeah, I mean,
Possibly, but
I don't want to put
it's going to be
Yeah, I don't want to put the cart before
all
the
the
horse on that,
communities,
but
aid.
obviously just keep our eyes, ears open.
substantial burden, substantial.
Okay.
And it's, like I said, it's not just for the prosecutor, it's the fact that every officer for related to each case has to be there.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that seems
Literally
like
no
a
coverage on day
huge,
shift.
huge pull of resources out of the community.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay. Are you gonna make a
I guess,
motion?
yeah, I'll entertain a motion. I'll entertain.
Well, I'll separate it into two.
Yep,
I'll make a motion to extend a $500 a month stipend to Sergeant Montplaisir for taking on the prosecutor role. Is that specific enough?
If that's specific enough. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this started June 1. She stepped out, because it's about a monthly.
Okay,
So she
all
got
right.
her May stipend, so he would get
So
the
he would
June
get the June
stipend.
stipend, okay. All right, that makes sense. And then follow up?
Make a motion that Administrative Assistant Dolphinist gets a stipend of $150 per month for, can you repeat what the role?
So she's paralegal and she handles all discovery motions.
Discovery, that's the word didn't write down.
Discovery motion.
For taking on the discovery motions responsibilities.
Is there a second?
Can we just make it real clear that there is, these statements are being absorbed by the current TV?
Correct.
Zero.
Yep.
Just to make sure
The current budget. Yeah, within the current budget. All right, is there a second? I didn't hear one.
that.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So next is just a radio infrastructure update. Last update, and this is more for the public, is we had to dig a test hole to make sure the tower would go up at the East Weare station fine. We didn't hit shelf, which is what we were looking for. We went out last Thursday. I met with the two-way individual. Everything looks good. We've been coordinating with Jason, DPW. He can do trenching holes and conduit work. So no problem there.
I thought you were out there running a shovel.
What?
I thought you were out there with a shovel digging your hole.
I wanted a backhoe personally. Oh. Give me one. But yeah,
Good call, Jason, good call.
problems. It's old land. Looking at the setbacks, we are going to be within 30 feet of two property lines. We've had previous contact with them. Going to be no issues. I'm going to have to do a zoning variance. I'll have letters of support from both of the property owners once we do that. The drone flight from tower to tower was completed. They're still preparing the report.
But it was green light.
Yeah, everything was green light. He actually said our tower could be a lot lower, but it's good at the height it's at. It was a great flight, no problem with communications.
Well, with that, he said it could be a lot lower. Can we split the difference? Can we go a little lower? Because
We can check.
to me, a huge 120 foot, I mean, I understand the radio concept, I understand what they're trying to accomplish.
Yep.
But if they say it can be a little bit lower, you know.
When I asked him about that, because I knew that was coming up, we can stay on seal bound on the lower tower.
And I'm not talking about money, I'm just talking
Oh,
about, you know,
I'm always talking about money.
just
So,
aesthetics in the area.
We want to make sure we account for future tree growth.
Okay.
Because he said that might be an
That's
issue.
what-
This gets us there.
And that's
where
why I
we don't have
said,
to worry
split
about
the
it.
difference or
Yep.
whatever, but if, you know, within reason, if we can draw that back, say even 100, it's still 20 less feet up in the air.
Sure.
And again, not monetary, like what Salem just said, aesthetics for the area.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
you're gonna have this huge mast out there, it
Yeah.
may not be the most
Nobody
appealing.
cares though, it's 120 feet.
Right, exactly, but if you drop it down to 100, it's not as,
Agree.
so,
We dropped it down 10 from where we originally thought we were gonna put it anyway.
so it's already
Down
at,
the embankment.
so it's already at 110 then? Okay, all right.
Well, it's still 125, but it's
Yeah, the
10
stick's
feet
100
lower from
oh,
where the base is going to
okay.
go.
Oh, okay, all right, I understand now.
There wasn't enough room right next to the firehouse.
It had to go down a little bit.
Down the hill a little bit.
Okay, all right,
So it's still 120, but
Yeah.
it is dropped down that 8, 10 feet, whatever.
okay,
it is.
all right.
So
All right,
they-
just let us know, if
Sure,
you
will
could
do.
just inquire.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. We'll do. But yeah, because they are working on the quote and a timeline, so
Very good,
hopefully we'll have something fairly soon.
very good.
Sorry, how far did you say you had to move it down the hill?
So when you look at the East Weare Fire Station, there's a little embankment. We couldn't put it on the embankment, so it's right down
About 10 feet.
Yeah, it's about 10 feet.
I'm just making sure like materials cost isn't gonna spike, but
Oh, he keeps saying steel's gone up since the first quote, so.
Oh, it has, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
the tower cost.
So you're gonna have a survey involved too? Who's paying for the survey? You talk about needing a variance and you need a survey.
Yeah, so I'd imagine that
That's an
comes out of the
additional
grant,
cost.
or not the grant, the,
ARPA.
yeah, the ARPA funding.
Now, who you gonna have
You're gonna
do a
get
survey?
quote on that.
So I gotta look, I haven't even got the application yet. I gotta see what it takes, whether they need a survey or if the
Well, the survey usually, when a variance is granted, it's, for distance, it's based on a survey, cause it's no greater than whatever the surveyor puts the plan to. But you gotta jump on that sooner than later, because there's a month, because of how the ZBA works, it's about a month ahead you have to apply.
Okay,
So if you're thinking in a couple weeks you're gonna apply, then you'd be on for August. If you think, then you get August, you get to September, it's getting colder.
Sure.
Time's ticking.
I'd call the chair,
okay, appreciate it.
For
Right.
what?
call the chair of the zoning and make sure that he's.
The deadlines are online.
Yeah,
the
just make
deadlines
sure
and
he
the
brings,
meetings.
well, he gets to the first meeting with what he needs.
Yeah, just make sure you're gonna bring what you need, that's all.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Just make sure that the
I'm sorry.
process stays.
No, I'm
Yep.
thinking, we require a survey when you're asking for short
exactly.
distance.
Okay.
So I would try to find a
Go ahead and
survey
do
that's
it, huh?
available.
Find a surveyor.
Well, find a survey and see what it costs, cause you may be into the purchasing policy.
Right,
Exactly.
Cause the surveys
They're not cheap.
yeah.
call, price, and availability, cause they're not sitting around waiting.
And they're busy too, that's the other thing.
Yeah,
So I would start that as soon as you could.
okay, very good. And if anybody's got any names of surveyors?
I can show you some. I don't recommend, I can give you ones that we've seen,
Okay,
then you have to call them on your own.
yep.
There you go. And then?
A tower.
Am I gonna have to put that out for bid? Is it that kind of price range? What, over 5,000?
We don't know.
You don't know. I don't know. I would assume,
Looking around.
It was
That's
almost
small,
20
but-
for the bridge, but that was way bigger, so.
like I say, and there was water and everything else involved too,
Postage
yeah.
stamp.
Yeah, it's probably, I mean, it'll probably be under. I would assume it would be under,
Okay.
but. And then at that point, you just need three numbers.
Okay,
You don't need to actually make a request for proposal.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing I got is FY '24 highway grant. The reason we're doing this is because we just did the equipment grant. They need this on file to put us on the list for all the speed stuff that we did last time.
Did we do this in '23?
Yes, this is our third year doing this. So, and I'll just, yeah,
I made one, but,
sorry.
yeah, no, that's all right.
So just to hit the highlights of what the department goals are based on participation in this grant. There are a couple different areas of the grant, DUIs, distracted drivings. But we do saturation patrols focused in areas where and when crashes occur. We're trying to focus in those areas where at least 85% of our activities related to the grant are in those specific areas. And we do that with the goal of reducing crashes with injuries by 10% compared to the previous year. Generally, that's mid-80s, so we're trying to get right around, I think it was 76 was the actual number we're trying to get to. During 2024, the funding from this grant will let us do 20 saturation patrols targeting speeding, DUI, and distracted driving. Also, we have one of the largest social media followings in the area for a local jurisdiction. We plan to increase the number of educational public information posts by 5% as compared to the previous year. So that's what the community gets out of us actually participating in this.
We did this last year.
Yep.
Last 2 years.
Last 2 years. Yep. That's why I asked. I thought we had.
Was it earlier in the year?
Well, it's over the year. The first year we did it, I think we were late, so there's 4 different targeted enforcement activities they try to get you to do. We only were
We
eligible
only
for
did
2 of
Yeah, I think we
them.
only did what, speed and,
DUI possibly.
yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
It was like $2,000 or $3,000 total. Last year, because of our participation, it went up to about 9,000, and we're about that same number this year. The grant is for total
We didn't do it in this format, for sure.
9,000.
No, it's state form, same format.
It was last summer.
So we do a bunch of different grants. Are you thinking of this one or something different?
I don't know, I'm just not familiar with this. That's all.
There's another one, when we do the dam patrols, that's a different format. That looks totally different.
No, I do remember participating in this, Kevin.
But,
But again, it was modified a little bit. It didn't have the mobilizations and.
Yeah, I might have
everything
just
else.
printed it out on one page to
I
show you what the
think it was
numbers
just
were.
the two. That sounds right.
That would have been the first year. But for this year, or for FY 2024, which starts October 1st, total grant participation is $9,200.
But the maximum match is 23? Is that right? In
I
the
believe
green
the
box?
same numbers are 23.
Well, it says, the green box says maximum aggregate match for all awards.
Green box.
Bottom of,
The bottom of the third page? Bottom third page. So we're receiving a $9,200 grant, but our maximum match,
Oh, right.
2,300.
So we get our match through the use
In
of the
kind.
cars.
Right, in kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, so it's $20 an hour every hour we use the vehicle, plus my time and Officer Valero's time for setting
Admin
up the
times,
grant. And
yeah.
that contributes to our contribution.
Okay.
We track that number as well.
But it's basically in kind.
Yes.
So in the summary, we've got a goal. It says in 2024, we plan to reduce all injury crashes by 10% in our community from 85 to 77, but on the previous page, I think, yeah, previous page.
84 to 93.
We're already at 77, but it calls out
Those are-
injury crashes, but then injury crashes, we're at 23.
That's for 22.
Oh, total crashes. Yeah, I was looking at total crashes. So crash reduction. Yeah, that's crash reduction. The number you're looking at on page 4 is just total crashes. So 85 was the average of 84, 93, and 77. So we're looking to reduce those by 10%, which takes us to 77.
Okay. Though, I guess as you say, that's all crashes and not all injury
Correct.
crashes.
Not all injuries.
And yeah, I guess I can't really complain about doing an average, but we're already at 77 for 2022.
So let's not have another one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what our numbers currently are for 2023.
yeah. And then, so how did you come to the number 20 for the number of saturation patrols?
They established that.
Okay. And then can you define better for me what a saturation patrol is?
That's just, so you've seen our map, right, where we have our crashes, so we know pretty much what times and what locations the most crashes occur, so we're gonna hit that area the hardest, because we think we'll have the most impact. So if we see a whole bunch of crashes on 114 where we transition from the 50 to 30 in front of the middle school, we're gonna sit there with radar to try to slow people down so there aren't as many crashes. And we're gonna target that. That's where you will probably see us sitting rather than moving, because all our cars are equipped with moving radar, so we don't need to sit. But when we're doing a saturation patrol, we're gonna be sitting in specific areas.
Focused right there.
Right. Duck Pond Road.
Yeah, there you go.
697 Reservoir Drive. That's really nice. On the weekends.
And so does that mean, I apologize if this is in here and I read it already, so does that mean that we'll have more people working during that time? And then
Yes.
this money is going to pay,
Yeah, they can't work patrol and the grant at the same time. It has to be totally separate. So if we got our coverage on the street, these guys will be extra. And the grant's written up, so we have a significant event, these guys can break off the grant and go help at that significant event. And they can't get paid by the grant then, so they're off the grant time and they're back on the town time if we need them. And then they can go back to the grant.
Okay.
So that is attributed for in the grant proposal.
okay, so that all makes sense. The only thing I don't love about, is because, this is coming down from the state, and the very first one they call out, there is an expectation of at least 3 documented stops per hour on these
Correct.
patrols. And then it does say, hey, if you don't do that, well, you have to fill out some paperwork. So, everybody's human. If the choices are, get somebody in the gray area or fill out some paperwork.
So that's, no, there's plenty of targets out there.
I can say, I don't think there'd be any.
Yeah, there's no problem getting those
issue.
numbers. might not get 3 if we get an arrest as a result of it. So we get an arrest the first hour, now that takes us up all 4 hours where we didn't get our 3 stops for the other 3 hours.
But that could be documented in.
Yes, and which we do.
You be in the clear.
Yeah, I can show you a report of what a finished one looks like if you want.
Sure.
Not currently, but I'll get it to you.
No,
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, so I think we have to vote on accepting it, because it is funds. Even though it's, we have in kind, I think we still have to accept it.
Accept the grant application.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we do.
yeah.
So, was that a motion?
Do you want a motion?
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
a little
I
more
make a
specific, that's
motion
all.
that we accept the New Hampshire Office of Highway Safety Traffic Enforcement Patrol's grant application FFY 24 as presented by Chief Knight.
Okay. There's a second. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Got it, thank you.
I have a question for him, can I ask it now or wait
Sure.
till the end?
Nope, he's here. Ask him.
Here.
So, when, anytime you gotta tow a vehicle, whether it's an accident or whatever the case may be, if there's there is a
Request.
well, you guys have a policy written, right?
Yes, it's available online.
Right? So if there's-
Contract tow, you talk about contract tows,
Yeah,
right? Yep.
yeah. So if there's a controversy about that, are you get the guys to see, or the towing company? or-
Depends on what it is. So, I just handled one this past week. So, the tows are voluntary. You can use whatever wrecker you want. You're under no obligation to use a contract wrecker unless there's only a couple instances, like you're too inebriated to make a decision, there's nobody to turn the car over, there's nowhere to leave it legally parked, and we have to tow it, we use the contract wrecker. If it's a tow because it's a disabled vehicle, it's your choice, you can pick who you want. If you don't know who you want, then we can offer you, we have a list of a contract wrecker. It's pretty much, the policies are identical to everybody else in the state, and they charge certain fees. We have nothing to do, if people call me complaining about the fees, I have nothing to do with the fees.
So what do you, that's where I'm going with this. What do you, and is there only one contract record service in town?
Two currently.
That's not my
Yep.
issue, because we might be talking about the same one, because this person reached out to me, and I actually have a little knowledge of it, but, there's a big discrepancy in what the price is thought it should be, so who do you see?
So,
If it breaks your contract,
that doesn't happen a lot. I will tell you this, like even we did tows and I saw a $5 discrepancy between what one contract record charges and what the other one charges. Still right around the same price. But and I'll point it out to them, and they gave us a refund for the overcharge.
the problem with this one particular incident, it was an accident between two vehicles, and the two
Yep.
vehicles got picked up, obviously in the same place, at the
Yep.
same time.
Yep.
Went to the same place. They happened to get them out of the impound yard at the same exact time, and there was a $430 difference between the two tows.
And my understanding one was just a regular rollback and one was an extraction.
No.
Where they had to, that's just my understanding. What I did, because we are talking about the same incident, what I told the complainant is, give me the forms and I can look at them.
Okay.
Because it might be fraud and we'll look at it if that's the case.
Maybe, yeah, okay. That was just my question.
But Sergeant Frisbee was familiar with it and he said they were not the same type of tows. And he was absolutely sure of that. One was an extraction, I believe that's what he called it, and one was just a regular rollback, which the difference was for that, and it stated that on the invoice. And he was also going to the contract record to get copies of those invoices to look if the person could not produce them on their own.
Okay. I just want to know who the person to go to was, you or?
Yeah, it kind of depends, because like I said, it's just a convenience thing.
I don't,
rather than-
I don't care, I'm not saying,
Yeah.
someone else should tow it, shouldn't it, it just,
But yeah, if that was a legit complaint, they would come to us, because that's fraud
okay,
essentially.
that was my question.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Anything else for the chief? No?
All right.
You gonna hang around for the next discussion with us, so for a couple
Sure,
minutes?
absolutely.
Cool. recognize Jason. Discussion of the gravel pit. That's what we have anyways.
Yeah, so me, Chief Weare, Town Administrator Bolton had a meeting about what we're gonna do down there. Gonna put some boulders out in front of the walkway there that people use into access. And probably put some no parking signs right on the wood line.
Okay.
Just wanna know if that's within our bounds of what we can do.
Seems, yeah,
I would say
I
yes.
think it's more signage. Shooting seems to be the problem, right?
It's
Both.
towards people essentially is the
Well,
problem, but yes.
Well, exactly.
But,
I mean,
but,
which is just poor gun ownership. However, if you put signs up so they don't, I mean, I don't know what this new, all the years, it was a problem, and all of a sudden somebody must put it on Facebook, because this is crazy, you've had 2 incidents.
Yeah.
yeah. Uh-oh.
So what we got, the second individual was actually from Concord, once we contacted him. What that meant to us is they're using that little sand pile for a land marker. If we remove the access to the land marker, they can't go back there and shoot. So I suggested to Jason, we, create a new area further up the road, a couple 100 yards where it's no longer convenient to walk into that open area to shoot and block that,
With boulders.
that area, correct, and immediately can be blocked with boulders just so nobody can access, and eventually we can get no parking signs. But if they can't get to it because of the boulders in the way, then that's fine too.
But is it permitted to set up targets
No.
and target shoot on town property?
It depends.
Without our permission.
If it's conservation land, yes.
But this isn't conservation.
It's town-owned, it's the town
Right.
forest.
Yeah, so
Is it
not
town
in a
forest?
reckless manner that was being done.
So,
Right, which you can't fix stupid, however, it's not okay.
Correct.
Somewhere this must be put out, which you can't help. Someone must, for somebody to come from Concord. But I didn't know if there's some sort, I mean, we even spend extra money, put some sort of big sign up that says, this is an active gravel pit and no shooting.
yeah.
Because they're still gonna park on the edge of the road and carry their gun down there if they're doing that. I can't even fathom this has happened twice, but.
Yeah, well, I witnessed it last November, like I said, and I apologize for not doing my due diligence and following it up. I did share it with the board, but, yeah, I mean, they were in the bottom of the pit, what I call canyon pit, because it has a small entry, that's where they were shooting across the entry. But they had ground pads and targets, and I still have the images if anybody want to see them, but there were 5 people, 3 actively shooting with 2 going in when I took the pictures. So, yeah, I don't understand why we're not posting no shooting, just immediately to prevent the accident, because we don't have a sign. I've assumed already, by the way, that a sign was up, because, I mean, we got 2 strikes, we've gotten 2 close calls as it is, and so the third one, I mean, why aren't we putting a sign up?
Well, we'd have to manufacture the sign. Like I said, the most
You
immediate
can go up
solution
to
is to.
Edmonds and buy a sign that says no shooting. I mean, just something temporary, just to prevent the next incident.
But,
That's where
but I
am.
guess my question, Kevin, would that hold any weight with,
Well, that's kind of what I think he was.
Depends.
yeah. If we were to put it on like say the sign we made for the tennis courts, right? It's got the town seal, town aware, yada, yada, with all the, with, hey, this is the transfer station.
I guess, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess my
that-
thought
that would
was-
hold more weight, I
I
think.
mean, whatever you guys got for a plan, start it right away, I don't care, but my thought for reason having a sign up there was, so whatever misinformation people are getting, they have a chance to, because I don't wanna wait somebody to
Yeah.
really get
Well-
framed after arrest them. Now, I'm not saying that sign, they walk by it's arrestable, shooting in an unsafe manner is.
Right.
But apparently somewhere, someone has said that that's a shooting range down there, so we put up a sign saying that it's not, on top of whatever else you wanna do. I'm not trying to say what you wanna do, we don't do.
Yeah, I shot you guys
Can
an
you
email.
start with a digital sign till we can get one made? Can we put the digital one there? I don't know, I'm just trying to.
No, that's a good idea.
Because if we're gonna get one made, I think we should just mount it right on probably on the gate, on one of the sides of the gate, drop it in the hole, the pivot.
Well, the problem is ahead of the gate, before you get to the
All
gate,
right.
where the winter public sand is.
They're parking,
Public
they're
sand.
parking
Yeah.
directly on the.
I know what you're
backside
talking
of the
about, yeah.
sand
We
pile.
made that area for public sand that everybody could go get.
All right,
We made 'em off the road.
make a public sand sign, and then at the bottom of it, include the narrative that we need to
What
include.
are you gonna do? Now,
The hiccup,
this is
too,
more
is you
important.
can hunt on town.
No, I'm saying,
Right.
no, I'm saying is you couple them together.
That's an active
Right.
gravel pit.
That's where I
Right,
put
but
active
that's,
gravel.
has to be the designation. You have to establish there's no shooting in the gravel
Right.
pit
Pit.
rather than town property.
Exactly.
Right.
Because you can still hunt.
That's why I mentioned the active gravel pit, because
Right,
exactly,
yes.
it is a
Right.
town forest. You can-
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the verbiage I put in the email, but it was something to the effect of active gravel pit,
I guess I
authorized,
missed it. I'm
authorized
sorry.
personnel only.
Okay.
And that would cover us? All right, so
No trespassing.
okay, so I'd say we
sorry I
we
missed
do
that,
that.
Jason.
I'd
Yeah.
say we do that. Is there, how many signs you looking to do? Just one at this
I
time?
probably need to walk the wood line with him.
Okay. Is that something you guys can coordinate and let us
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Okay.
Because it's easy access there. I don't think they'll walk in from 77 to.
I would think if they could just walk it, order it, and let us know what they did.
Yeah, that's fine.
Instead of waiting for
That's
another
fine.
meeting.
I'd be good with that.
And like I said, we can boulder it as
Yeah.
soon as he can get the people to do that.
I wanted to talk about that part of it.
Active work zone, authorized personnel only.
Yeah, as long as that holds weight with you.
I mean, so I think the sign's fantastic. I'm kind of turned off on the boulders, because that is, with the sand there, so that people can drive up
Well,
and get sand.
They'll put the
Or we're gonna
boulders
take the sand
behind us.
somewhere else.
Poles are behind it.
Behind
We're not
us.
gonna make it inconvenient so they can park there and walk into the.
Yeah.
Because it would sound like the boulders along that wood line with no parking signs,
Correct.
but
And
We
the
want
sand
people to
pit's
be
gonna
able to
go couple hundred yards up the road toward river,
We're talking right now,
or.
putting some boulders right at the entrance where people are walking down, and some signs right
Which
there.
will not inhibit the sand pile at all.
The sand pile moving is gonna
no
be
parking signs. more
a
than anything.
bigger
We want people to park.
topic, I believe. But
So I think maybe just that unauthorized, active grab, that
I
probably
wasn't ever
cover
a
it.
huge, enormous fan of it where it was. Anyway,
No.
it was dangerous when you got 15 people around it. It used to be down at the bottom of the transfer station, but
That's gated,
they
right?
didn't like it at the time there, and then
Yeah.
people that wanted on Sundays couldn't get it.
So first of all, you're gonna put the boulders to close it off right away.
Yep,
Second, you guys are gonna go walk the
the
boundary.
line.
And then third, you guys are gonna order the signs that are gonna be applicable.
That
So you're just
might,
gonna move them out, 'cause there's boulders there. You're just moving them out so they can't park.
Are there boulders there?
they're very small. I just wanna move them so they.
Can't
it's a
park.
pain in
Close
the
it off,
ass
yeah.
to
Right,
Climb
that-
over them
yep,
or
yep.
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Sounds good to
Yeah,
me.
you'd have to park on the street to be able to access it.
right, which. there's no-
People used to go and walk the dog after the dump and whatever, but I don't know. If they
Yeah,
don't
that-
know enough not to shoot
We
towards
updated that a little bit, yeah. So,
I mean, it's directly at the transfer station. Not
that's-
only is it DPW employees, it's residents who are
right,
using.
Oh, yeah.
so no,
transfer.
put the rock, you guys do what you gotta do, let us know how it turns out. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, me too.
And the sooner the better.
That good with the board? Okay.
Yeah. You just have to figure out where to put
Yeah.
a
In
stand.
the meantime, when you
pile.
order the sign, is it worth putting up the digital one?
Yeah, if you got one
I
available.
would say,
Just,
yeah.
but put what you're gonna order, the
Yep.
gravel pit, whatever,
Active
no,
work,
right,
active
no
gravel.
unauthorized
Right.
entry or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
can laminate it on, and put a stake in, that's what we had to do on my property with the state. I mean, some guys can set up sorry.
Orange poster board, yeah, whatever, or the sign, whatever, but just whatever your narrative's gonna be, just put that on the sign. So, not a no
At least then
parking,
when they're in
not no
there, or
parking.
you see
no.
someone, you can go say, did you
Yeah.
see the sign?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was flashing at you when you walked by it.
'Cause there's only two entrances, there and by your shop. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, all right, very good. Anything else?
That's all I think
Chief,
we
Jay?
want him here for it. Did you have something else, Jay?
I do.
Okay, so is he all set?
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, chief, appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, as mentioned last week, we don't have a grader operator. We've had somebody doing it for 2 months, so that's a little untrue, and we do have people who are experienced, but the guy who I do have doing it right now is still a truck driver as far as his pay scale is.
I I thought it moved him to operator a month or so ago.
So on the 15th of last month, I asked you guys about the process on what to do and
Oh.
whatnot, so I got more information, talked to Beth, about wages and whatnot, and, basically I just been given kind of a trial run, seeing how he's doing. In my opinion, he's doing a good job.
I seen him Thursday on, Dudley Brook. I thought he was doing the right things.
Yeah, yeah.
I do too.
I guess, yeah, firsthand, I had made a somewhat offhand remark that the road I live on hadn't been graded in a while, and it turns out we were
In rotation?
right up there.
Yeah, in
the
rotation.
list, and so it was graded just in time for everybody to take the Flanders bypass after that truck crash.
Got it, guys pounding.
Yeah, so, I would say the last, even more specifically, since we moved here, every other time it's been graded, we've had issues within 2 or 3 days. This last time, even after getting beaten up by
All the
extra
traffic.
traffic, have not had any issues. So, yeah, I kind of to Benji's point, I think certainly seeing a lot of improvement over where things have been.
The only question I have is usually when we do promotions, there's some kind of probationary rate. Is that taken into account in here or no?
There's no probation there.
Okay. Just,
We can go to the next step down and give him a probation. I feel as though the 2 months that he's been doing it
Okay.
has kind of been a probationary period.
I just,
I don't know
I just
how
thought
it's,
that's customary, that's all, usually.
I don't know how it's been done previous,
I
but
just felt you could either give a little more after the probation, or you just put on probation, doesn't cut the cake, you get drops back truck driver, but.
Right, that
obviously
could
doing
work
the job
too.
ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, that could work
And I don't
too.
care if we waive it altogether,
No.
but just,
Yeah, no, I'm just
I
trying to
guess
keep
my bad, I thought we already
consistent.
moved it to operators.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep consistent, that's all.
yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's fair.
so-
I mean, if you guys wanna put him on a probation.
I'm not saying, yeah, I almost agree with what Ben said, is, you know, if this is the rate, that's the rate, you know, it maybe go another month, because he's already had 2, use that as, you know, credit that, and just give it one more month, and, I mean, I don't know what the rest of the board feels about that. You
Well,
know,
just to-
give it a 3-month, you know, trial type.
that way it's consistency, so if you have somebody you think someday he needs on probation, I don't think this guy
Right.
needs to be, but.
No,
And if we put someone we're unsure of in a different position later, he can't say we didn't do
So
it with
is
Scotty.
excuse me, I'm sorry, but is probation usually a 3-month probation?
I think it's usually 6 months, I think,
That's what new hires are doing. I don't know what,
yeah.
again, I'm not
Well,
completely
what
versed,
I
but-
ask is are we gonna create policy? So
Right.
if we have
A 6-month,
an existing employee who's already done the 6 month from the original and now is being moved up a step from, you're promoting from within, are we gonna now say that there's a 3-month probation for that, from driver to equipment operator?
right.
Across the board, because it'd be nice to give them something that we're gonna. do across the
Solid.
board.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the only reason I mentioned it, if you know, I know you need a couple more operators and someday a foreman, and if you got somebody that you're not
In-house.
sure of, but you're gonna try, then
you ought to
you
have
put them
that.
on a probation. You
Right.
don't want them to say, well, you didn't do that with Scotty.
Right, yeah.
Because this is just formality. You're not
Yeah,
gonna drop
I'm
it out.
not discrediting the job performed, not discrediting anything, I just wanna make sure that we're
I'd be
consistent
in
when we do
favor of
this.
giving them full pay right now.
Yes, yep, I'm good with that. I'm good with I'm good with the money adjustment.
He's asking if 3 or 6, so.
Back to the policy, as far as for consistency moving forward, as you're rebuilding this team, and you're obviously promoting from within in this case, do you think having 3 months is, or would you rather it be 2 months, or?
6 months,
What's your
or
recommendation to us?
I
Maybe
mean, the way I've always seen stuff like this done is you put somebody in it, you let them work it out. If they're showing that they're motivated and they want to do something, you let them run with it for a couple months. If they do a good job, you promote them.
Okay?
3 months can be a round number, that'd be fine. That's half the summer. If you're hiring a new excavator operator and he runs the excavator for half the summer and says, hey, what's going on? I'd like more money. I've been doing this for this long with a truck driver rate.
Well, I don't think that I don't think you gotta do that. It's after they're put in that position, you can drop them back down anyway, but you
Yeah.
have that, like, listen, if it's not doing so good, we're gonna put you back down to your old rate.
Yep. I'm
not
comfortable,
saying
It's just
you
that,
got-
it's just that security
I'm
net.
saying you
comfortable
got-
with 3 months. If you
Okay.
give somebody a promotion, give them a 3-month, and you either say, yep, it worked out great, or you drop them back down.
And again, Casey's watching, definitely not speaking towards this guy.
No, we're not speaking ill,
You
it's
have a
just
lot
a
of people-
formality,
You have a
yeah,
lot of positions to fill in the future. I
Yeah.
want to give you something to say, no, you didn't do what I thought you were getting.
right, yeah.
Again, so that we're not doing it case by case.
Inconsistent,
Yeah.
consistency.
Yeah, no,
So that you
I
have a policy, I know this is a policy, so when you initiate the conversation with whoever that is, you can say, 3 months not, well, maybe let me see how you do it, I'll go to the board and see if I can bump this.
Yep.
Right,
yeah, I think the employee's already done their 6-month probation. They've already showed that they're committed to the town. If you wanna upgrade them, then a
Oh, yeah.
3-month probation is fair.
Okay.
okay, all right.
Fair enough.
I'll move that we approve,
I've got to ask the question.
what?
Since we had such a talk last week about it, the money's in the budget, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah, because the equipment that we're down, equipment operator.
That is, it would be step 4, operator 1.
Okay, all right,
Thank
all
you.
right,
We have vacancies,
all right,
in other words.
Yeah, we have 2 operator vacancies and several,
all right,
or a couple truck driver vacancies as well.
yeah. All right, I'll move that we, upgrade, Scott, promote Scott, I don't know,
Triaca.
Triaca, to equipment operator 1, step 4, at a rate of $23.13 an hour, for equipment operator, with a 3-month probation, with, well, I wanna say time served, that's not right, but credit 2 months, due to, already working the piece of equipment. So basically, it's another 30 days
Yeah.
of probation.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes?
Aye.
I'm kind of, whatever that start date was, 90 days from whenever he was promoted.
Right, when he was officially, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That it?
That's what I got for you.
1 or 2 days gets
Okay.
paid here.
Anything on the bridge? No?
Well, they set up a meeting.
Good.
I don't have an exact date. I think it's gonna be this week, cause you're gonna be gone, right? Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Have you talked to, have you met with the engineer in regard to the bridge?
that's what we're just talking about.
Oh, sorry, I was trying to,
Yeah,
I was way up somewhere.
It'll be later this week, so hopefully I can have you guys an update.
Okay,
okay,
thanks.
excellent.
What are you waiting, what is the update?
For, a meeting with DOT, if they'll approve our one side repair.
Okay, that's all I had. Anything else? Very good. Thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Okay, manifest. Gonna order the treasurer to sign payroll accounts payables checks dated June 22nd, 2023 is including the following manifest. Payroll manifest, $79,340.17. Accounts payable of $14,222.18. John Stark, $569,263. And Weare School, $1,101,198 for a total of $1,764,023.35. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I'm gonna start saying every month. 1.6 of that, 1.7 went to the schools.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's, I mean, when we start working the budget, I mean, and you actually see I mean, Beth puts together a great presentation as far as her spreadsheets and her, I mean, you put the pie chart on there and you actually see how much goes to your municipality. I think it's what, is it 17%? Is that what it is? 17, 18%?
It's 50.
Yeah, but it's roughly that, I mean, it's
Yeah.
peanuts of your bill
Bill.
in comparison to what you actually have to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As a taxpayer, I wish people would keep coming to these meetings and go to the school board meeting.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So so this is the last for this first?
Yes.
That's why it's an odd amount.
Right,
And they have to, the school has their money by June 30th.
yeah.
So that's why the odd amounts and the pay dates. Typically, I'll hold out
Right,
and not go to the bank until June 30th, because we haven't had a lot of tax money in yet.
mm-hmm,
We still got the large tax services that haven't hit yet.
right,
So we work well together, so we don't have to borrow money.
right,
But
thankfully,
just to cut the check and have it ready to go.
right. All right, moves us to some minutes.
which you don't have.
which we don't have, so we're gonna table those.
My apologies.
Nope,
That's fine.
it's understandable. All right, your report.
So you all have it, it's two-sided. Jason went over to DPW, just, I mean, so you don't have to keep asking him and I have stayed in touch on T3. There is nothing yet to report, as soon
Okay.
as, we're gonna try to give you a report as soon as we know, so just, instead of putting it on there and not having an update.
Yeah, yeah,
So, meaning when he comes in here.
okay.
So if you've got a crowd that wants to know, and then we don't have an update, so we just thought we would
Put it on
work
there.
it through here.
It's fine.
Police, you've already taken account to, and the second bullet on the police, I'll find out an answer for you as regards to where we are.
Thank you.
I don't have anything new for Park and Rec or Conservation. The solid waste, I think as I remember when we left last time, we were gonna look at a specific town. We were gonna kinda talk about it, and then we're gonna put it on a work session.
I think we need to do it in the work session, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, hold that thought for a second, because the work session next week is gonna encompass, it looks short on paper, but it's gonna be long on time, for the large fact that as you get further down, I'll hand out things, but you asked me to give you all the submissions for the minute taker.
Yep.
And then we're gonna schedule interviews.
Yes.
Same thing with the building inspector position.
Yes.
We have 4 inquiries, 2 applicants, which I have to share with you. I'd like to have those done on the 26th.
Yep.
Jason also has a part-time transfer station gentleman coming in on the 26th.
Okay.
But we really need to, the 26th, fill spots.
Yes,
And the
absolutely.
reason I say that is because we've got our residents going to the Goffstown Town Office and some make scenes.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
It's just, they've created chaos down there in a public building.
Oh, really? What, for building, you mean?
Yeah, because Jack wasn't available here.
Oh.
So we need to
Oh, that's
kind of take
important,
care of
yeah.
our own.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree.
ASAP.
I agree.
I've apologized, I don't know what else I can do.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's,
I appreciate the help.
yeah, oh, 100%.
But at the same time,
yeah, we don't need to
I
strain
can't
it. We
control
don't need to strain it
someone
anymore.
going down and
No.
making
Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah.
That's not on us for somebody to act.
No, it's
No.
not, but it's a reflection of us is
But
what I'm
it
getting
strains
at.
that
No, I
relationship.
agree.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably the most
The
important thing. on the
DPW
agenda.
director position has been put on the website, Facebook, 2 public places, and NHMA, but I didn't see it was posted there yet.
Okay.
I have had, I got 1 application, and I have had an email inquiring about the job description, and then he'll make up his mind.
Okay.
So, we'll carry that, as we carry that through. Ethics Committee has no meetings for June. I'm gonna be gone to a conference the rest of the week, and then I try to take vacation time when I can, and there's no meetings, so I don't have to come back. So I put my schedule down there for you, but my plan is to, I'm always reachable, I'm always workable.
Yep.
Some things get in my way, but, sorry. Then I'm flipping over, I could not come up with correspondence.
Okay.
I don't think I have any more.
There's only one, I think, that I had, and that was requesting the parade DOT.
Okay, cause I did reply
Approval thing.
back, and I thought I shared you guys that.
Yeah, yeah, you did, but there was a follow-up, that once the DOT gave back the permit or something like that, they wanted that too.
Yeah, and I said once I got it, I had.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only correspondence I can think of.
Because there was a new one today asking for the last 5 years, but it's not a town committee,
Yeah.
so it's generated with your signature and the chief's, but it goes back to the committee
Right.
for the police to have.
Right.
And actually, Benji, you got involved with the detour, and Jason worked on the detour with him.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll give him what I have when it comes back, but I don't know that I have 5 years worth.
Right.
I don't think I have anything more, honestly. Nothing's changed. I did take off the cap. I did take off Kevin fixing the front door. I don't remember what else I took off.
So I'll just touch on 6. I know that Jason did locate that generator you're talking about. It is a little bit rusty, but not probably beyond the point of pulling some panels off and getting them maybe sprayed and painted, which wouldn't be much money, obviously. Probably do it in-house.
That's for the
Generator.
down below.
Yeah, it's definitely large enough to run this facility.
Oh, yeah.
To run what we have slated in the box, and then some.
I thought it'd be a great fit.
But again, you just, it's.
We still have
it's-
to do something out there, though.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to pour a
You
pad.
have to have a pad,
Yeah.
a propane tank.
Yeah, which we have the tank.
Propane tank.
Yeah, we have to get a pad and then probably a little bit of an enclosure type thing, maybe. I know it's enclosed, I know, but it probably wouldn't hurt to put like a,
And now, how does,
That little roof that's over the fuel pumps is what used to be over it.
yeah, I know.
so how do you, so when the power goes out, do I have to go outside and start
No,
it?
it's an auto start.
Yeah.
It's an auto start.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. No, it is, but it's
They
buried.
ran the whole highway department, just,
Yeah.
Chip did not like it. And it never failed us.
Yeah.
It just
It
wasn't
just-
big
it-
enough to run everything.
It's in one of the storage
For the new one.
units, and it's
No,
behind
I
a couple
just, because
things.
before,
But I had no storage for it anywhere, and I had to keep it in one of the salt bays till we got trailers, and it got a little rusty. It was my only concern if the motor got crumpled
Right,
up.
yeah, no, he was gonna pull the panels off and take a look at it, but he said it didn't look
the
that
only,
bad.
the other one we had, Chip always had to go downstairs and start it and do something else, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
This
I'm be
one.
honest with you, that's,
Only thing I don't know is if
that's
you-
above my
If our
description.
tank's big enough, or if you had to have its own propane tank, but it's not like a life safety thing.
It's got a
so-
it's got a 250 pot
That's its
belly.
own, we heat with,
Yeah, this is an oil building,
Heating oil.
and it's a 250
That's
pot
that-
belly, so.
yeah, that's it.
It would run for a substantial amount of hours,
Yep.
especially on autofill,
Oh,
you know, if we had autofill.
transfer stations just has some.
Yeah, so,
I mean,
We won't need to spend that
Sewers-
money, or,
sewers.
no, just wanted to update on that I did talk to Jason, he did locate it, just gotta pull it out, take it, maybe fire it up and make sure, so. Good.
I think it's,
Do we have any requests for plot purchasing?
plot purchasing,
Cemetery
cemetery,
plots.
yeah.
How are we dealing with those?
Well, one of them's Collins, which I'm not gonna even get
Yeah,
involved with.
Yeah, right, that's.
Right now that we had the, we found, I don't know, where do you get a metal detector? Cause I'd love to find the circles, cause I can find some of them, not all of them. What I mean by that is, there's a circle with a spike in the middle,
Right.
and that circle tells me what number it is on the paper.
Right,
So, some you can find, some you can't. They went from circles to, I called them mushrooms. I thought they were mushrooms. I didn't know what they were.
yeah,
There's
trip
a
over it.
yellow dome that I thought was a funny looking mushroom until I went to pull it up, and then I didn't realize what it was. So, I mean, we've got lots available now. I just don't know where all the markers are, because they're covered with dirt, they're covered with moss,
Well,
they're
they've been-
covered.
Yeah,
Right, but my question is, do we have people lined up
Like,
wanting to purchase?
I think I
lots?
have 3 people ready to purchase, but some want to purchase in the old East Weare Cemetery.
Or the
and I'm
Johnson,
Skittish on that. Because, as you heard tonight, bought it in the 60s, there's no corner markers.
right,
She's in Pine, the Grove though, right?
I know, but I'm just
But
saying,
still,
but in the
even-
60s,
Yeah.
there's no corner markers.
When,
So somebody wants to be next
East Ware
to,
is sporadic.
so somebody
as far
wants
as
to be
corner
next
markers.
to a loved one in East Ware or Johnson. I'm not real warm and fuzzy about going out and saying, yeah, you
No.
can go here, because I don't know.
Luckily, Ray had corner markers, but,
Ray had corner markers.
but that's not saying every lot does.
No,
but when we sell a lot, I mean, at least in Southware, when they sell a lot, you pay that day for the corner markers, and they have
Oh,
them
we are
installed.
today, that policy is
You
in
put them
effect
in the
now.
old cemetery, they moved from
And-
East Ware, they probably didn't.
and what we found is, yes, that's
Try as
part of the checklist to buy it,
Right,
because you have to pay, and then we order them,
right,
and then they get put in.
right.
But 60
What we
years ago, that
found
wasn't.
was, we've got people that paid for them and were never ordered.
They paid for them and they never ordered them? So we
I've
gotta,
had run
we
that
gotta
into a
make
couple
that good?
times. Well, no, we researched back that was made, check was made, check was purchased, so now we're trying to play catch-up, but
Yeah.
there's probably more out there than I know.
Yeah,
I only
there's a
know
lot
because
for-
somebody reached out to me.
Right,
Um,
yeah, but to actually do the research, you're gonna have to
I have a
contract.
metal detector.
It just, the metal, it has a number punched on the, and it's in the middle, and it's at the corners.
So, I'll give you maybe a what-if or scenario. So, tomorrow I come in and I wanna buy a plot.
Yep.
Because doctor told me I'll be dead in a week.
Okay.
Okay? Can we execute that process?
So typically, what I have is a checklist with some requested information, and it tells you who to make the check out to. Typically, you have to take them out there to see where they want to go, because this is what I have available on a map. Let's go find it on the ground.
Right.
We have some lots, the Elliots purchased a nice lot by the tree. But there's some empty here, some empty there, some empty
Sure,
there, and some
yeah,
empty
sure,
here.
that's okay.
So if you take them out, the idea is to take them out, let them pick their spot. Then you come back, or you can hand them the paperwork, they could bring it back, because they require cashier's checks. One that goes to the trustees of trust funds, and one that goes to us for the corner markers. Then we type a deed, you guys sign it, we give the owner the deed, and
We
we
make
order
a-
the corner markers.
We make a copy of that deed now,
We
right?
do now.
Yeah, but better than that, we should just send it to the registry
And let
Yeah.
and let the register
and
record
charge
it.
the $16 to record it.
So we
Because
don't,
they'd be happier than us too.
so we don't have anybody in line right now that is standing there with the cashier's check ready to file?
No, I have 3 phone numbers that I have to call back,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
But we do have a checklist when we meet, we take them out, see where they wanna go, but I'm just being upfront with you, I just am uncomfortable in the other two. Because I don't know, and the deeds are back in the 60s, and then
Army
some
Corps
of them,
and-
they get
yeah.
moved up here from the flood. I just, as you well know, when
Oh,
we
yeah.
trumped around that day, it's
Yeah.
really not that well marked.
It's not well marked out there at all. Not, East Ware, definitely not. Johnson, a little better, but still vague, you know?
Like, I jotted down where these guys were, because I don't remember. It has their name, because her and I have been back and forth. Never what size,
Well,
never a lot number, never
when we
anything
probed-
other than,
Yeah, remember when we probed, we could only find 3 corners in Pine Grove?
Mm-hmm.
We assumed that the road was corner 4,
yeah.
because there's not a 4th corner marker.
Right,
There's only
no
3.
we dug around, and you
Yeah.
poked around, and once we found, we were kinda lining them up, but there isn't one. The
There
road's
isn't one
there.
on the top.
So I don't
corner.
know if the little paved road went over it,
Probably,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, but hard to tell not knowing. And I even, you know, took, and tried to hit the ground, maybe thinking dirt went over it. And I probably did, what, a 2-foot by 2-foot area, and I couldn't find nothing, so.
Yeah, but, I mean,
I'm
as
assuming-
long as you have the 3, you can,
Yeah,
you
but-
can triangulate
You
and
can
get
pull
the
a corner.
diagonal and figure that
But
out.
the road ran right there.
Yeah.
Like right there, so we assumed that the road was, but again, there's no markings, there's no, you know, it's difficult, especially, again, it's changed hands through the years. We're talking, I mean, like the lady said, she's like, you know, she opened it up and it was crumbling. We're talking deeds that may be 60, 70, 50, 60 years old.
Yeah.
That again, the recording process at the time was a handshake. It was the times, I'm not discrediting anything, it's just, but now we're running into these problems where, you know, they want to go in next to, or be here, or be there, and we're, you know, honestly, I think what we need to do, is I think that, you know, there was talk about having a company come in and, ground penetrating radar and basically map your
See where the
cemeteries
vaults
for you.
are, see where the
urns are, and, you know, again, that would make our life substantially easier, make Naomi's job substantially easier, is when you can say, yes, there is a spot right here, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this, you know, and they map it electronically, and they send you but
It's a lot of money to do
there is a
that.
substantial amount of money, but again, here we are, I mean, but there's a lot of money, yes, but there's also RSAs and laws that if you hit another one, you're in violation, so it's a balance, right? So to do it right, I think that we would really need to do that mapping, and go from there, just my thought.
Yeah. Can we add a line item to the cemetery inquiries /status, just so that we revisit this since we've taken on the role of trustees
Yeah.
periodically, make sure we, at least-
cemetery inquiries, what?
just inquiries /status,
Yep.
just so that
We know.
don't let months go by. and-
Yeah, and I understand there's people that have done things,
Yeah.
and there's people that have planted things, and they're not quite
Yeah.
to record. But you did have a family ask about the stone, the Sawyer family asked
Yeah.
about the stone. So when I pull out the thing and it says you have to approve it, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what happens when you call and say, what do
Yeah.
I do?
I
Yeah.
didn't know the policy, but literally,
Yeah, it's online.
yeah,
It's on our
literally,
website,
I
yeah.
mean, I've watched people put sod in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can't do bark mulch anymore.
No,
The
no,
bark
that
mulch is-
was off, yeah, I remember that.
That would probably mowing would be an issue with that.
You know, the other thing, speaking of cemeteries, I was over in the old Center Square Cemetery.
Yeah.
Just, it's awful.
And I mentioned that to Naomi, actually, when I was over there.
Horrible. And
I asked if we could use the cypre money to start repairing that. Have somebody come in, I mean, the headstones are all tilted
headstone-
over.
Some are
Yeah.
broken, they're over, and they're running the lawnmower right over them. They did it last year.
Yeah.
The wheel marks are right on the headstones, and
Yeah.
they're cracking them and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just within, 20 feet of the fence line, there's quite a bit. We were gonna inquire about,
You took a few pictures.
I did, and I sent them over.
And it's the same thing, that's all sand there. So
Unfortunately, that's gonna take a lot of money to fix,
it's
and
gonna
we both
take a
know
lot of
that.
money. And, you
Yeah.
know, I wanted to say to the lady and her brother that was here tonight, really, to make that work, they probably need to put a layer of clay down, because what's gonna happen when they put 4 or 5 inches of, loam down?
It's just gonna go down
It's
through.
gonna go right down through into the sand if they don't
Yeah.
put a barrier.
Yeah, some kind of a barrier. But no, I did ask, because I asked if cypre covered within the grounds, and if it covered repairing stones. I don't know if it does or not. We were gonna find out probably from Terry, right? And then if it does, I mean, we have 10,000 that, maybe we could appropriate half of it, at least, to repair and stand them back up, reseeding
Well,
them.
I think we need to do all that immediately.
Well, no, but, obviously, if we have a tree fall down in there, we have to appropriate
Right.
and take that out, but if we put, say, 5 or 7,500 towards it
Yeah.
yearly and get this in a process of the repairs that are needed, then yes, because absolutely, I was appalled when I walked over there, you're right, and I reached out to Naomi. That was just before Ray's
Yeah, I think
services.
last year I brought that up too, that
When
there
we
was
were
a lot of
looking,
them.
it didn't take us far to find the corners
Right,
of Ray's, you could kind of just measure
Yep.
it out, and we kind of
Yep, we
took
did.
off, and the dirt and
mm-hmm,
the moss is a little bit different. You gotta kind of dig through that, because
Yeah.
that's really bound in there.
yeah.
Well,
So-
if you want to bring the map sometime, like after you get back from your vacation or something, Naomi, I'll bring the metal detector up. It's a pretty expensive one, and we might be able to just walk through and find the pins. If you want to do that
Yeah,
someday.
it's just, I found when we were looking for the browns,
Mm-hmm,
you and I did, we found the pins,
mm-hmm.
but we had to dig for them.
We did have to dig for them, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
So,
So,
yeah,
wouldn't hurt.
take an iron rake or something and
yeah, wouldn't hurt.
stuff off.
So, okay,
Yeah, when
good.
you get back, let me know.
Okay. Any other business correspondence from the board members?
I just had 2 things, I guess. The first one, I just wanted to touch on Mr. Butt's comment about the flyer, and it looked like it was a little, like
Misleading.
campaigning. I know when we talked about it and wrote it, we've actually said we wanna make sure this doesn't look like we're campaigning for something.
Right.
And it was like 11 o'clock at night, and we had to get in that night, and
Mm-hmm.
Salem flipped it together, and we all said good, and sent it on its way. So we all voted on that, and when I got mine, I'm like, maybe I should have tried, looked at it a little longer. It did a little bit of it, kinda look like we were saying, hey, we're buying our trucks and stuff out of this, and it isn't on, I'm not saying that, I just wanna put out there, I guess, that.
It wasn't
that our
malicious.
intent.
It wasn't malicious, yeah.
No, we really didn't. We just want to tell people that
Information.
what their recycling is really
It's helping.
bringing in good things, so.
Okay.
It's not buying the truck, but it's helping with
Other
other
things.
things.
So I
I think, at least writing it, my intent was, if no other variables change, of course, it's not reality, but if no other variables change and you have more revenue coming in,
Right.
then there is less need to expend money
right.
From the
other
operating
revenue
budget, yeah.
sources.
No, and I
Right.
think we understand that better than most, and it was nothing against you, right, and you write better than I do for sure, so I wasn't going after that. I just wanted to address it since you brought it up. You seemed a little
Yeah,
upset about it.
I think what,
And I didn't
it's a
address
lit-
it
it's
while
a-
he was there
a
because
literal interpretation, right? So that is the problem. I mean, in the end, there is revenue, additional revenues being created. The additional revenues reduce what our ask is gonna be, plain and simple. So
Yeah.
if we can count on income over here, but we have a deficit, and what we're asking for the taxation is the deficit. So it was a little interpretation, and fair enough. We'll certainly be more careful with our next flyer.
And then, I don't know why me, I've been asked by 2 different people. One, an arts and crafts person and one a food person, if there is a way at all, or a form to fill out to have a spot at the fair here in town, and I don't have any idea.
Which fair?
Well, our little patriotic.
I would
Patriotic
say it goes
celebration?
to the Fourth of July committee,
Yeah,
right?
'cause
Fourth
it's
of
not,
July.
it's nothing to
Which
do with
is,
us.
Amy and John, right?
Yeah, if it's Old Home Day, then it's not.
No, patriotic were when the carnival's here and everything. One wanted to do food, and one, a separate one, not related, was interested, and I said, guess I have no idea, I've never tried
Yeah.
to put a booth.
I think it would be Fourth of July
Patriotic.
committee.
Yeah, they do the vendors, because there's only so much space and the ride guy needs so much space, so, it's up to the patriotic, and they have a Facebook page.
Okay.
They could reach out through the Facebook page.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Actually, it wasn't those them posted, it was Laura's daughter.
Yeah, Laura's a co-chair.
Yeah,
I don't remember, but I know they do a lot of stuff on Facebook.
yeah.
And that's how you register your float, that's how you reach out.
Okay. That's all I had.
You all right? Somebody's watching.
Yeah, that's that.
Okay. Are we all set? You all set, Ben?
Yes.
The only thing I have is, Shari and myself, not as board members, but, as individuals, attended the library expansion public meeting. And we need to, definitely need the library trustees and or the librarian to come and meet with us because they're moving along swiftly. And, I think there's at least
It's
the land that
concerns.
they want to place the addition on, we need to evaluate whether or not that's even feasible and possible.
Right.
It does on the northwesterly corner come, it looks like in scale, probably
Like
within.
within 15
10
feet or,
of
yeah.
10 feet.
Yellowstone.
Yeah.
So, before they invest any more money in the current design, I'd like us to make a request to have them
Yeah.
get put on
So-
the agenda.
Right.
I'm not disagreeing. This was, I guess I missed the last two of these meetings. This was, I think, the biggest one for being on vacation, but I attended the previous 3 or 4, 5 or however many. And it was my understanding, and this was before I was on this board, but for all of those meetings, the board had received an invite and not attended. So
I would agree with that statement, yes.
that the board had received invites to those meetings and had not attended.
Well, I attended the first 2 meetings.
When were those? You're talking like last year?
September probably, maybe,
Yeah,
October-ish,
The first 2 meetings.
whatever it
And-
was, I don't
And
remember.
I responded to Clay every time we were invited
Okay.
on the fact that it was a conflict.
Yeah, I had conflicts, that's why I couldn't go.
Yeah. I just don't want it to sound like the board was surprised by this.
Right.
Well, I was
No.
surprised, but, I mean, I could see it on the drawing, but,
The information has all been there at the library. It's all been public. It's all been like, I'm not saying that it's all the right answers, but it's not, it
But-
shouldn't be blindsiding anybody.
But the other thing is too is, and I think this rolls back, and there's no disrespect or anything intended, but I think that with a government building alteration of that magnitude, that even if 1 or 2 board members were to slip into that meeting, it really needs to be a discussion that is held with the board. Whether it's the trustees of the library and this board, or I think it needs to be a collaboration of boards to actually have an official on paper minutes documented to say, hey, this is what we're trying to do, this is what we're gonna do, where are we at? And that's never happened.
no.
So, again, we were expected as the board to repair the chimney, which is 100% correct for the fund. So we've determined it's a town building, that the Board of Selectmen is in charge of the building. And now here we are with this massive expansion, and this board as a collaborative has not seen anything from over there. And I don't, again, shame on me for not going to the meetings, but I can't attend the meetings in all of them. But I think there needs to be a little dialogue between the two of them before they say, we're committed, now we're starting to fundraise, and then when they get to us, and it's a
So
roadblock.
what's the next step?
I won't disagree with that at all. I just don't want us to give the impression sitting here that they are hunkered down, hiding, waiting to pop up and surprise us.
Oh, no, I don't think that's the case at all.
And I certainly didn't get that impression. I mean, I'm an advocate of the library and have been for forever as an individual. And it's why I attended the first couple of meetings, and then it's just conflict in schedules, why I haven't.
Yeah.
So, I've stayed abreast of it. The only, what happened, again, conservation was canceled. That's why I was over
Right.
there.
Yeah, that's why I was able to go.
So, as Ricky just stated, all of a sudden we're moving into fundraising mode, and it was just like, hang on, wait a second, because we can't go forward until this board says they can occupy that piece of property, plain and simple.
Yeah, literally, that's
Yeah,
where I'm
well,
at.
my concern was that they've got the building on an angle, and it's like Kevin said, it's within 10 feet, I'd say, of the corner of the building.
Yeah,
So
it's
really-
close.
And
Well,
the other
and
issue
at
is
least
that,
the meetings I was in, they had said, and I don't recall who, but they had discussed with occupants of the stone building connecting to that building. In fact,
yeah, there was a comment at one point
yeah,
made
this has been
over a year ago.
Again, it should not be a surprise. Is my point.
But the issue I have is that we use that green space for a lot of events.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
Old
no.
Home Day,
know,
patriotic celebration.
I'm not
whatever.
trying to discredit what the library
No, I'm
does. I'm
not,
not trying
no.
to discredit that they need they need the space. I'm 100% with that. I'm just thinking that there's a break in the communication line here.
So what's the next, what's the next step they're taking?
Well,
Where
they're
they
gonna
at
have
now?
another meeting with the trustees sometime next month. Because of, it's not gonna be the first, Wednesday or Thursday in the month, it's Wednesday, it's gonna be later because of the 4th. But I brought up a couple of things that I saw right away. One was the actual entrance and exit of the building on the north side of the building comes out right where the old walkway was roughly.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that that's kind of a safety issue, because you got the people that are parked up back coming down there, and if you
Yeah.
got little kids coming out and they run out
Yeah.
in front of
Yeah,
somebody.
it's not the
But
best.
what's their next step?
Yeah, but where are they at now?
Well, they're still talking about design and stuff, they're not,
Right.
that's not,
You gotta see it, they're well along.
Yeah, they're very well.
And I'm not blind, I have seen it, and I agree, I'm not blindsided, shouldn't be blindsided by it. But I guess, I'm not good going to extra meetings, and that's on me, but I guess I was just kinda expecting it would be, I guess it was I thought it was all for the public, and I was expecting
A formal
presentation from there to us.
That-
I
that-
didn't,
that's
and
what
maybe
I'm-
they are going to.
That's what I'm alluding to.
That's why I'm
is, you know,
asking, maybe they are going to, that's why I asked what the next step.
Yeah, the wheels are almost on the ground as far as we're making this happen, and literally we haven't been contacted
So-
as a board
right.
to say, let's have a cross-table discussion here. We've been contacted, hey, we're having this meeting, we're inviting you down. Remember too, if there's 3 of us here, we have to post as a meeting.
Right.
So, again, to me, I think there's a break in communication there. And I don't wanna see them fail, I wanna see them succeed.
Oh, of course we do.
But again, I just wanna make sure that everybody's on board with this. The other thing is too, is I believe legally, we have to accept funds to the town to do that, expansion.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think this is gonna happen for 3 years, I'm guessing.
I don't, yeah, it's not gonna be an overnight.
Well, the reason I brought this up is because this is a field that I'm very, very well familiar with. And what's being invested right now is a sizable amount of money and in design concepts.
Plans, et
And
cetera.
that individual standing and just presenting the other night, there's hundreds of dollars are being invested in that. So before they go any further, I just believe we need to evaluate what is the value, does their request exceed what the current value is of that green space, which is for these occasional gatherings, open lawn type of events. And are we gonna accept that, or are we gonna accept it with the condition that you have to stay 25 feet from, which should have been a discussion. The original version was not skewed, it kept everything
Parallel.
parallel.
Yeah.
The last version I saw, and that was, I felt that was okay. The other thing that, if you go to the next meeting, I've expressed this, is that I believe that we need civil engineering to take a hard look at it too, because it's a sunken building, And if you look at the north elevation in the current presentation, the sidewalk pitches directly to the entrance. We have a problem with water there anyway, and
It's
always
all
have.
wet, yeah.
In that building and in stone, okay? It's basically a hollowed, flat space, and we have no town infrastructure to go to a storm drain to get rid of it right from there,
No.
down that side. So the complication goes when I look at $300 a square foot, $5.3 million estimate to build the building, I think there may be other associated costs on the civil side.
Yeah, that might not be accounted for yet.
Right.
And again, this is, the meetings I attended were as a private citizen before being on this board, so it's, it's been a couple months. That did come up, the specific issue you're talking about, and I assume it was the same architect, and it is an architect rather than an engineer, but it is supposed to have been addressed in the design.
Yeah, I just, again,
Really going,
Just-
if you picture on the north side to the east of the walkway, there are some kind of half windows. Again, I'm going off memory, and then there's a big, I think it was mostly gravel, that was intended to be able to catch. Like we just had, not yet the 3 foot of snow, but we had quite a bit of snow. It's supposed to be able to handle all that and rain and everything.
Rain and everything.
yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm only, again, I'm telling you, if you're gonna be at the next meeting and you're there, this isn't a board suggestion, this is individual. We had problems with the 86 edition
Big problems.
because on the
Yeah,
backside.
I get it. I'm just saying, I did talk to him about it a couple months ago.
Yeah, okay, but another let you know that the original edition, the first edition went on, there was all kinds of water problems and all kinds of money spent after the fact trying to correct the water problems, which still are not
Real
Rectified.
fully, not
corrected.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
The other issue I did bring up was the safety issue there with the walkway and kids coming out right there by the bottom of the parking lot. The other issue is that they wanted to take about a 25-foot strip right off the other end of the Stone Memorial Building's lawn for parking.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
that's even makes it smaller.
smaller.
And then the other issue was, that I brought up, was why are you even thinking about it there? Why aren't you going out and using where the tennis court is?
Parking lot or the tennis court.
Well, the tennis court.
Yeah,
And I said, that way, you'd leave the open space there between the buildings, and you wouldn't be overpowering. It kind of looks like overpowers the stone building, but,
yeah.
I'm more concerned about the green space and the water there, and,
Yeah. I mean, I think there's just validity to have the trustees and the board meet
Yeah.
at this point.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the concept, just whether or not everyone else is gonna agree that it can be put there.
Right.
I like it brings I don't like the main entrance being off the backside tennis courts and the Legion, because I believe, and I've always expressed that right along through my emails to Clay, that I just feel it's cluttered as it is, there's a lot going on in a little tiny space.
The book dropped being over there too, so ideal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anything else? All right, let's set the work session.
All right, so,
On a float, just the thought, should we not have a meeting July 3rd?
well, I have nothing on it.
And I don't think we should skip a regular one, but even just kind of push them down.
Because I had, so the work session, I'll ask you that you take one and pass it down. And I did it so you wouldn't, this is about building inspector. Then I'm gonna ask you to take one, pass it down. This is the minute taker group, okay? So you take one and pass it down, and you take one and pass it down. That's the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, I would be, on what Salem just asked, I would be okay for that. I was considering,
So can I just,
Friends
you're
on the
saying not
third.
doing the third, but we're still gonna do 10, 17?
And I would propose, because the 3rd is supposed to be a regular meeting, I would propose the regular meeting picking back up on the 10th. And then start
Right,
our
because
stagger.
we just scheduled the public hearing, so that would be,
Yeah.
you mean the 10th?
Instead of having a regular meeting on the 3rd,
Yeah.
have our regular meeting on the 10th,
10th.
and then go back to regular work session.
Oh, so 2 regulars in a row.
I mean, yes, but, yeah,
Well, you got-
we're basically not having a work session. I got,
Right.
well, kind of.
Well, we can do 7 and 10. I didn't ask, I just assumed we were meeting.
What do you mean,
And I-
7 and 10?
What's the 7th?
No, no,
Are we-
no,
are
I
we
said
taking-
7-3,
we're taking-
7-10.
We're taking the third off for personal reasons?
Well, I mean, it's the holiday weekend.
4th of
Just-
July,
yeah,
people
just-
travel.
Yeah, I'm just curious, I mean, is there gonna be, is there, I mean, if you have plans, I
No,
understand.
I don't have plans, it's more of a, man, it's gonna be a long weekend for this entire town. Wouldn't it be nice to not think about this for one weekend?
So we'll do 7-10 as a regular.
Yeah, if it's a personal reason, yeah.
Plenty of Monday mornings I get up and say that to myself.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't really care if there's 3 people, if we get a quorum and we have business, we can turn that into a work session, we can get ready for something else. I had it penciled in, it doesn't make a difference to me, one way or the other.
I mean, if there's a meeting, I'll show up. I'm just floating the idea, you know, see how people feel about it.
So right now, you only have anything, I have nothing for the 3rd.
Okay.
The only thing I had was the 10th, we scheduled the public hearing, because he was not gonna be here. 90% of the town usually is not around that week
I
because
was
of 4th of July.
thinking about being off the 3rd, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm all right
don't,
with
I
it.
don't, I
The
could go
only
either
reason I
way. I'm
just
not going
need
anywhere.
to-
I don't care.
And I do have the manifest on there, so Beth can adjust your manifest for the following week as well, like she always used to.
Right. Like I said,
Take a vote,
I have no
take a vote.
poll vote, hold the meeting on the 3rd. Don't care. Not have the meeting on the 3rd.
Okay.
Looks like we're not having a meeting on the 3rd.
Okay.
Propose that more often.
Well, we've been pretty steady at it.
So
You know,
my,
we go.
so.
We've had a lot of things to do
I'm
too,
gonna
and we
be
still have a lot to
just
do.
kinda cryptic here, cause I don't talk about people. There's, a request for the advertisement to submit things. So when you have on the bottom of your advertisement, it said you were to do cover letter, resume, application.
Oh, like a link?
Nope, nope, just hear me for a second. So you have 8 applications in front of you.
Yep,
4 covered all bases, 4 didn't.
okay.
So, interview, do you cover all bases? I haven't called anybody yet.
Well, I thought that the board decided, I thought we had discussed that the plan was to receive all, as Kevin had
That's
stated.
what I want to know from you, yes.
Right, as Kevin had stated, but the plan was for the process that had taken place all along of some kind of weeding to get to a final 4, 3, whatever.
Right, so
Which
I
I was
weeded based on, if I asked for 3 things and got 1,
That would be a bottom of, right,
that would not happen.
But what I'm saying is, if we have a standout candidate that has either overlooked or made an interpretation, I mean, are we really gonna draw a line of sand based on that?
so in here, I was gonna look at them later. There's
And-
4,
and-
there's 4 of
and-
each in here?
There's 8 that applied for the minute taker.
Oh, okay.
4 followed exactly what you asked for, and 4 submitted just a
And
resume
we're supposed to interview these, when's the interviewing?
next week.
next week.
But I need to
Well, we
call
gotta try
them.
to weed them out this week.
Yes.
Well,
Well, we
yeah,
gotta
but,
read through these, I guess, and
no, that wasn't what we decided. We had talked about it, and
You wanted to see them all.
we wanted to see them all, because as of a month and a half ago, we were not seeing all of them, we were only seeing the top candidates. We wanted to see them all, but we were still going to have the process that we had accepted, be the law of the land of if the simple directions that were on the job description, or not job description, but the ad, were not followed, that it was, other than maybe a small error or whatever, with discretion, to be eliminated.
Well, so
You
if
know.
you have, I guess I'm having trouble with, if we have 4 people that followed the instructions and submitted
Everything,
the 3 documents.
we see all
But
4.
they don't, 4,
What, we see all 4.
right, but what happens if those 4 candidates don't
Well, then
have
you
the
go
qual-
back
don't
and
have
look
the-
at your other 4,
But,
I
but
guess.
they don't have the qualifications, but we have someone that missed the step that meets all the qualifications, is highly qualified, we we dismissed them because.
They couldn't follow simple directions.
I'm gonna tell you that if you, and you
Well,
can
I
disagree with
don't-
me, 3
you know
out of
what
the
I mean?
4
It's-
have
I think
qualifications.
it's-
3 out of the 4, what, Naomi?
3 out of the 4 that did them all have
To
qualifications.
what you're getting at, Kevin, if we said, pick a date this week, hey, if a board member wants to add to that 4,
So-
we have 4, we'll say that's the floor. And then there are 4 that are questionable, and if somebody says, I'd really like to include one of these between, I don't know, before Friday, then they get included.
Cause my intent
That-
was, it was
Yeah,
Yeah,
get
what
to
what
it.
we've done before is we have dismissed people that have not met this criteria, this medical 3-step criteria. And we've hired based on the people that did hit the 3-step criteria. And I'm not saying that I'm not really sure. For instance, I've read several of the applications that have come via email. I don't know, there's one that seems extremely qualified, but I don't know if they've met those 3 steps.
I guess my question is, are we planning on interviewing these 12 people, or are we supposed to weed them down before the?
We them down before Monday.
Well, no, you gotta weed them down shortly so I could schedule for Monday.
Right.
None of these people, nobody knows anything.
Right.
I know Jason's got a candidate for transfer
There's
station, that
4
person knows.
There's
But this-
There's
4,
2 for building, so I was gonna invite them both.
But this,
Yeah.
that doesn't set well with me, Kevin. The reason it doesn't is because it couldn't follow directions. Like, I mean, what do we, I understand your point, but the reason it doesn't set well with me is, we lay out 1, 2, and 3. If we only get number 1, my interpretation is, you put your name in the hat, thank you, but what is, if you can't put 1, 2, and 3 together,
Okay, I agree with you, Ricky.
But-
I agree, only, so
Yeah.
where is the criteria outlined, on the webpage?
It's on the, that's why I gave you this.
it's on the posting,
It's
So
right
on the posting, on the very
Which is on the-
bottom, it
which is
gives
on the
you,
webpage.
right.
yeah.
Okay.
It was on the Facebook, it was on
That-
NHMA, it was
And it's all
everywhere.
the same, consistent across all the platforms
Because
that
it
we advertise
says,
on.
a detailed, and then it says to apply. It says email, hand deliver in person, or mail, letter of intent, resume, and/or application.
There you go.
Well, it does say and/or.
And/or, right,
And
So one or the other.
right. We didn't require 3, but there's just
Some of them only
no
have
cover
one.
letters.
Yeah,
There's no cover letters.
right.
So there's no letter of intent?
Well, again, but it's an or. You get letters
No,
of
no,
intent.
resume and/or
Yeah, but
application.
I don't, letters of intent, resumes, or applications.
Well, if you want to interview 8, I just need to
Well-
know how many to call.
And again, I'm not,
I mean, I'm just
I just
asking.
don't know how we're gonna weed them down. I don't think we can do it tonight, and I don't know how we're gonna weed them down between now and next Monday, all scattered around.
Right.
I think we either need to do what Ricky said and do the letter of the law, or interview them all, one or the other. I don't really have a strong one way or the other, because
Well,
I also, don't disagree that sometimes something gets missed, I might be the best candidate, but if we gotta weed it down, right now, I don't know how else to do
I just
it.
thought that we had discussed this, and that's what we had decided, was we were going to get all of the applications, but we were still gonna follow that procedure we've been doing of the short weed out.
So they need a letter of intent and a resume, or application, they need 2
They
things.
need 2
Right.
things, at most.
if that's what we wanted, then we should have said letters of intent and resumes or applications.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Says.
There is some interpretation in that posting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would not disagree with that.
So they'd have to have a minimum of 2 things, all right?
No, because you could read it, letters of intent, resumes,
Resumes.
or applications.
Now,
So-
there's a difference with the building inspector. It says, to apply, submit cover letter, resume,
Yep.
and town application. That is a 1, 2, 3 punch.
Right.
And you got them all.
And we get them all. That's a 1, 2,
Well,
3
maybe
punch.
we've got to look at all of these then.
But it does, yeah, there is some interpretation on the, on
And
that
I
one.
can, I guess my main point was, how many do I schedule? 8?
You're gonna have to.
I think we're
But
gonna have
after, I
to.
think
How many
that's-
minutes apart? I gotta make all this, I gotta schedule, so.
I think
I
10,
think for the
10
minute
minutes?
taker, that shouldn't be no more than 5 or 10 minutes, right?
10 minutes max,
Todd?
Building inspector, we might talk to a hair.
15 or 20, yeah.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes.
That's gonna
all
suck up
8.
most of the work
Is
session.
that right?
Yep.
All right, and then the building inspector, same 10 minutes for 2?
Mm-hmm.
And then Jay is bringing somebody,
For 5.
so that's another 10, so you got
120
You got
minutes.
2 hours right there, 120,
Yeah, so
130
that just wiped out,
minutes.
that just wiped out the work session,
Well, that's why I said it looks short, but it's not short.
yeah.
Let's just stick to doing
And I
that.
just needed to know if it's 8 or 4, that's all I was
No, I
trying to
get
get
you.
from.
Yep.
Well, I think maybe we just stick with that. I know that we had some carryover from the last one, which was,
And I think in the future, we make the language so it's very specific.
Definite.
so
Yep.
that we
1,
can
2, 3.
make- make that argument, because when
yeah,
I read it, I said,
and/or.
I would not have done
Yeah, I'm
it.
glad
Two
you
ways to
stayed on top
interpret
of
it,
that.
and we interpret it 3 ways just now, so.
Right, and that's fine, I mean, like I
I think you
said,
approved it.
I know we
We
did,
did
of course we did.
But in the future,
Yeah, in the future,
in the future.
moving forward,
And that was my only point about the mailer, wasn't that anything was wrong, we're just, well,
different interpretation,
different
It was probably
interpretations.
about this hour one other night.
absolutely.
This is all still learning for me.
I just don't wanna lose visibility of what we did not accomplish in the last work session for our 2-out, which was listserv follow-up on the,
Yep.
on the policy,
Yep.
and also, I believe it was the, what was the other one that we did?
Town council.
Town council. I just don't wanna lose visibility of that, that's all.
No, we gotta, yeah, we have to.
And we also have to follow up with the solid waste, right?
And we have to finish our job descriptions, right?
Yeah.
With wages, with.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the work sessions are proving to be very, very beneficial. It's just, there's a lot. of
There's a
ground-
lot, and just
of ground to cover.
prioritizing
Of
them.
ground to cover, yeah, there's a lot of
So, I
ground to
mean,
cover.
I'm glad we got the positions on top here now,
Yep,
you know, that we're open. The building was, I knew the building inspector was gonna get yowly with contractors, and so it's good
Yep.
that we're on that now.
yep, I would agree. All right,
Not that it makes it okay for them
So
to
the
build the
next
gospel.
time, you're gonna have to spend the 2 hours talking about people, and then we'll have to decide.
yeah, we'll decide that night, I
We'll
think.
have to.
Yeah, we'll have to decide
I
that
think we
night,
gotta move.
Yeah, we gotta move on.
which is fine, I have no problem with that. So,
And then Naomi can call him up the next day and let him know, right?
Well, I just needed to know how to
yeah, how to,
schedule, and
how to
how many
schedule.
is it, 8 or 4, or, that's all
Right.
I was asking.
yeah, I'm good with that.
Well, I'm not disagreeing, but do we have some wiggle room on, because Naomi, you're out the rest of that week, right?
Yeah, but I'm gonna still work from the hotel room.
Okay, just making sure, because if, if we decide and you can call people, perfect, we'll leave it alone. But if you're,
They all have emails.
yeah, but if you're like,
No, what I'm gonna
There's a
do is I'm
dialogue
gonna email
somewhere.
us, first come, first serve, this is the time slots, and if you get a duplicate, pick a 1 and a 2.
Yeah,
That's how we did it before.
that
well, I
works.
mean, you're
The
saying we
the
make
replies,
decisions.
the reply,
Yeah,
yeah, the follow-up reply.
yeah, the next
I can
week.
do that.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Does anybody else have anything else? All entertained.
Make a motion to adjourn.
dismiss.
There we go, dismiss, whoa, hey now, all right,
Hang on.
second it,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye, aye.
Have a good night, everybody.